Uncle Scooby? Ripe! Hi, I'm Scrappy-Doo! Scrappy-Doo? Hey, Wolfpack, we're back with another surprise tier list. This time coming at you with a surprise one early as we're diving back into the universe of Scooby-Doo with one of the most infamous chapters, the Scrappy era. Yes, we're finally talking about the annoying sidekick Scrappy-Doo and all the monsters he and his Uncle Scooby combated. Yeah, I got them all here, got all of the cartoon ones. I will tell you, we are talking about the mystery cases specifically, so we got all the mask costumes, or at least the first season of the Scrappy monsters. We do not have the later ones because as the show went on, it got very weird, and they started dealing with actual criminals to real supernatural monsters. So yeah, I'm kind of sticking with the traditional Scooby-Doo villains, but I did count the movie villains. We got all the first season monsters and the Scrappy trilogy monsters, plus some bonus. Hopefully this list won't go into the Scrappy heap. Hopefully not. Alright, ready? Sorry, making sure my mic works, you guys can hear me. Yep, we're talking about the Scrappy era monsters. Now I will warn you, only the masked monsters made it from the TV show. We are not talking about the infamous era, the Scrappy shorts, which had a lot of real monsters to actual full-blown criminals. That era was very weird. I'm sticking to the ones they actually unmask and combat, but I did add the Scrappy trilogy monsters because a lot of people have been dying to know my thoughts about that trilogy, since some people actually really love it. And lucky for you, I do love it too. Yeah, I got the Boo Brother monsters, the Ghoul School Villainous, and Dracula and the Racers, they're all here. Yeah, talking about the Scrappy-Doo era, making sure everything's working. Hey, Wolf, what did I miss? Not too much, Wolgan. We're on the Scrappy era, just starting, going over the basic rules and waiting for people to show up, basically. But yeah, we have basically most of the Scrappy villains who actually matter in the grand scheme of Scooby-Doo. Got good, bad, and the everything in between. Got a lot of interesting topics for monsters in this one. As usual, Scooby-Doo has some really great monsters, but during this era, did Scrappy's infamy overshadow the quality of these monsters? That's what we're gonna find out. So if this is your first tier list ever, let me go over the rules. I will be ranking, discussing, critiquing, and even bashing each and every antagonist slash monster from the infamous Scrappy era, from who's top best to bottom worst. I am going with simple letter grades this time around, just to keep it simple, and I'm not sure if many people remember this show, because it's not like a lot of kids are watching old school Scooby-Doo lately, but, you know, gonna rank them all anyway. So up top we have S tier. These ones, they're the best. The top tier ghouls, the perfect 10s, the awesomest monsters ever from this era, and believe it or not, the Scrappy era does have some pretty underrated antagonists. Got a lot of good ones I want to talk about, especially from the Scrappy trilogy, but these ones, they're the top dogs. They are definitely S tier masters. Underneath that, we have A tier. These ones are good, not flawless, might have a nitpick or two, might be an okay villain. Definitely enjoyed this one, had a lot good going for it. Definitely, I would say, a fun Scooby-Doo antagonist, but not one I would list in the gold standard, basically. They get an A for effort. Should I make Scrappy jokes while we're at it? Go ahead, Firewolf, go ahead. Alright, making sure caught up on comments. Okay, underneath that we have B tier. These ones are silver territory. They're decent, they're passable, had a lot of fun going for them. Not the worst thing ever, but far from the best. They are definitely a basic monster. They get a silver medal, B for effort. Underneath that we have C tier. These ones are below average, kind of lackluster. Again, not the worst thing ever, but just barely passable, kind of generic, forgettable. Could have been way better, needs definitely improvements. They're a C student. Underneath that, we have D tier. These ones are the duds. They're just plain bad. There was a spark of hope there. They could have amounted to something greater, but ended up kind of disappointing, generic, underwhelming. Definitely a villain you're not gonna remember for years to come watching Scooby-Doo. But at rock bottom, we have F tier. These ones are total losers. The ultimate failures. 0 out of 10s. Worst monsters of the series. series, and we will definitely be seeing a few faces down here, but this is rock bottom bad. And yeah, that's it, going with basic letter grades this time around, because I'm not sure many people will show up, especially for this era. The Scrappy era is not as popular or well regarded as a lot of the early Scooby-Doo shows. I'll go over my basic thoughts on Scrappy-Doo. Scooby-Doo was kind of stuck in a rut. They were afraid the show was getting stale, very formulaic, very boring, that Scooby-Doo wasn't improving or going anywhere, and they were starting to lose audience members. Kids were growing up, some kids found it too basic. Scooby-Doo solves mystery, and the mysteries are not very deep or compelling, so the studio came up with a clever idea. Why don't we add a new character? We need a new character to spice things up, have great chemistry and dynamics with the Scooby Gang, get into funny scenarios. This new character, he's an adventurer, he's brave, he's funny, he's adorable, he can kick ass, he can also solve mysteries, and he's there basically being on equal footing with Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo's nephew, Scrappy-Doo. Scrappy was supposed to be an adorable puppy character. He likes to fight, he likes to solve mysteries, but he is very much kind of like an anime protagonist, gets a bit egotistical, in over his head, is easily triggered, doesn't think before he acts, and unfortunately this backfired horribly on the show because it made Scrappy-Doo looks like he was an incompetent idiot who was endangering Mystery Incorporated because of his need for adventure. And yeah, this is kind of why he's hated. A lot of kids did not like this character. They found Scrappy ultimately annoying, ultimately obnoxious, and kind of the real reason why there was conflict in the Scrappy era, because Scrappy would get in danger and drag Scooby and Shaggy especially, and sometimes the other members of Mystery Incorporated, into danger they could have easily avoided. And yeah, Scrappy has become a polarizing character among pop culture historians. He is regarded as one of the most infamous New Edition character examples of all time. A lot of people do not like Scrappy, and I will say, Scrappy got better as this Scooby era went on. Scrappy is terrible in the first season. I hate the first voice actor for Scrappy. He has kind of like a really deep voice. He's trying to sound like a little kid. It does not work. Oh boy, my Uncle Scooby's the best. He can do anything. I'll take on the monsters. I'll rock 'em, I'll sock 'em. And yeah, it does not sound good. I think Don Messick was clearly the better Scrappy voice, but that didn't happen until we got to the Scrappy trilogy and the later seasons of the Scrappy show. Superstars 10. Scrappy is the real villain. Yep, he is. Having watched the Scooby and Scrappy show, I can tell you that pre-Superstars 11 and 13 Ghosts is pretty dang annoying. Yeah, I also did not like Flim Flam when he was introduced. I think Flim Flam is actually worse than Scrappy-Doo, but Scrappy, they shill so hard for this character, try to make you like him, try to make him feel like he's super important when really kind of hogs screen time. He's acting obnoxious and totally in my face. This character has been parodied and lampooned a lot in a lot of pop culture, namely that Simpsons episode where they introduced Poochie. Poochie is pretty much Scrappy-Doo. That's the character Homer Simpson got to voice on Itchy and Scratchy. He was supposed to be kind of the cool, badass new character, and ultimately ended up a complete dud. The character was not popular, he was not liked, and that's basically Scrappy-Doo. This character was introduced to spice up the ratings and spice up the formula, give a lot of new scenarios. I will say there was definitely some interesting stories in this era, but a lot of times Scrappy was the most obnoxious and unlikable part of it. Superstars 10. Puppy power means puppy supremacy. Scrappy's puppy power catchphrase is one of the most divisive catchphrases. Yeah, it unfortunately did catch on, but not for the reasons the studio wanted. Hey Cat, just got here, what did I miss? Not too much, Joseph, talking about Scrappy-Doo. Basically was introduced to spice up the formula. We did get some pretty interesting stories, but the thing I hate the most about Scrappy is, as the era went on, they were removing Mystery Incorporated and Scooby-Doo himself from the show to basically prop up Scrappy. And I think this is what cemented his infamy status, basically. This is why people hate Scrappy-Doo. Scrappy was introduced to basically complement Mystery Incorporated and Scooby-Doo. Then he ended up upstaging Mystery Incorporated and Scooby-Doo. The first season was basically mystery solving with Scrappy there on the sides. Then we get to the infamous Scrappy shorts, seasons 2 and 3. They got rid of Fred, Daphne, and Velma. No explanation, no story, no re-meeting them until much later. They were basically gone with zero explanation. Fred, Daphne, and Velma were gone, and we cut Mystery Incorporated in half. It was Shaggy and his two dogs, Scooby and Scrappy, getting into wacky antics and adventures, but it became less and less about solving mysteries and saving the day as it went on. Basically, Shaggy, Scrappy, and Scooby were going on weird escapades and adventures, but they had nothing to do with fighting monsters. They would pick fights with guys at bars, or get abducted by aliens, or go to a castle which has a monster living underneath it, and most of the monsters were actually real supernatural creatures, which really threw people off, or they would get into Hanna-Barbera types of adventures. It was goofy, and some of them were good, but a lot of them were just too far out there, and we distanced away from the horror genre so far. And then they eventually got rid of Shaggy and Scooby-Doo. After their trilogy, Shaggy and Scooby were gone from Scooby-Doo, and it became about Scrappy with Yabba-Doo. Who's Yabba-Doo? Well, basically, Scrappy got adopted by his other uncle, Yabba-Doo, who's an old school western sheriff with his own knockoff Shaggy, and it became Scrappy and Yabba-Doo's weird western adventures. And yeah, at this point, people were done with Scrappy. The show became basically about Scrappy-Doo and what he was doing, rather than Scooby and Scrappy solving mysteries together, and that's kind of why it ended up so hated. Now, the studio did learn their lesson. They started reining Scrappy in a bit, but the fact that he was kept around for 2 more shows did not win people over. We got the new adventures of Scooby and Scrappy-Doo. Those characters are not on this tier list, so don't worry, but I honestly thought the show was actually pretty good. Had a lot of funny moments, a lot of tongue-in-cheek parody humor, self-awareness, and a love for the cartoon antics. I thought it was pretty good. Then we got to the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, where Scooby once again went on a horror adventure, and it's pretty divisive. Some people love it, others hate it, some are right smack in the middle saying it's a good show with promise, but a lot of flaws, and Scrappy continuing to stay was one of them. They eventually got rid of Scrappy-Doo by the time we got to the 90s, and Scooby-Doo was ultimately saved by Zombie Island after decades of seasonal rot, but Scrappy-Doo is kind of the death flag of the franchise. He is an key example of what happens when a show goes downhill, introducing a new character who was supposed to save the show, only to doom it further. He was also good in the new Scooby-Doo Mysteries. Yeah, he was Blue Thunder. I actually really like that. 1, they got the better voice actor. That was definitely an improvement. 2, Scrappy didn't hog spotlight. They finally remembered Scooby and Shaggy were the stars of Scooby-Doo. Yeah, I'm guilty finding Scrappy annoying too. If I were them, I would have made Scrappy a shy, cute little puppy. Yeah, that could have worked. If Scrappy were to return and given to a good writer, he could become somewhat popular again. Yeah, he could, but we've seen James Gunn and Mindy Kaling pretty much ruin him further. Poochie was the nickname of my late grandmother. I'm sorry, Blue Thunder. Scrappy has pretty much become the face of new characters that made the series jump the shark. Exactly. Particularly in animation, because he kind of started it when it came to animation history. That he did, Joseph, that he did. Yeah, they were up against a regular 18th century pirate in one short, unlike facing ghosts and zombie pirates in most incarnations. Yeah, the shorts got pretty bizarre and out there, and there was actually a lot of kids who hated it because Scooby-Doo wasn't solving mysteries anymore. They fought a pirate, they fought 2 guys at a biker bar, they destroyed an Indian palace and a guard's chasing them, they went to the swamp and got chased by a crocodile man, and the crocodile man was not a guy in a costume, he was a radioactive mutant. It got so weird, and the fact that Scooby-Doo isn't solving mysteries anymore only pushed people further away from the Scooby show. They not only got rid of the Mystery Incorporated, but the monsters were real, but were but it was goofy, and the episodes became less like mysteries, but more like stuff that just happened. Yeah, they try to be more like Looney Tunes style shorts.
Shopping for your next car?
And Scrappy would outwit these characters.
What about a sunroof?
Kill them. That basically became the formula during the Scrappy era.
With millions of cars nationwide, Auto Navigator makes it easy to find the perfect one for you, whatever that may be.
Those villains are on here: the Boo Brothers, the Ghoul School, and Reluctant Werewolf. These films do have their fans, and honestly are pretty entertaining. Number one, they made Scrappy a lot less annoying, and number two, they felt like actual mysteries rather than random stuff happening. Hey, I hope I'm not late. Not too late, Saga. Today I watched episode 2 of BattleBots Pro League. Oh, awesome. Tomorrow is the 27th anniversary of Small Soldiers. Cool. Speaking of which, he could have predated characters like Fluttershy. He could have, but that's not the direction. They want Scrappy to be the male Rainbow Dash. They fight, they bark, they fight, they bark, they fight. The Itchy and Scratchy Poochie show. Yeah, that's one. Remember what the Cartoon Network bumper where Scrappy was ranting to cartoons? Turn off the commercial. Oh, is it on again? Okay, can you guys hear me? Is the commercial off? Making sure no video's running.
In as little as 30 minutes, groceries your way with Ralph's Delivery and Pickup. Ralph's, fresh for everyone.
Fuck. Sorry, I couldn't tell when the commercial was on and off. I think it's off. Alright, I think we got it. Alright. But yeah, that's the Scrappy-Doo era, if you're still listening to me. Scrappy-Doo era was just... It started off promising, but ended up not very good. Alright, seems like the commercial's off. Okay. Alright, I guess we're ready to start this list finally. So let's start
Shopping for your next car?
The first Scrappy episode.
What about a sunroof? With millions of cars nationwide, Auto Navigator makes it easy to find the perfect one for you, whatever that may be.
Scrappy-Doo versus the Masked Mutant. I mean, the Blue Beetle. I mean, the Blue Scarab. Blue Scarab is going on to S tier. Yeah, this villain's pretty awesome, not gonna lie. Alright, making sure you guys can hear me. Alright, starting with the Blue Scarab. This guy, actually pretty cool. I did like this mystery. The Scooby Gang is going to DC Comics to buy a brand new comic book featuring the Blue Scarab. The Blue Scarab is obviously inspired a bit by Batman and a bit by Ted Kord's Blue Beetle. The Blue Scarab is Scrappy and Scooby's favorite comic book superhero, except when they get there, they find the mystery. There's an evil Blue Scarab on the loose. The Blue Scarab is harassing and attacking the creator of the Blue Scarab comic book, and he needs Mystery Inc.'s help to crack this mystery, trying to see what's going on here. Is the Blue Scarab somehow real? And while the Blue Scarab lives, he is terrorizing the city, committing robberies, attacking people, and destroying the character's good name, forcing the Scooby-Doo detective agency to pounce on the case. Are the commercials on? Despite everything, Scrappy still has his fans. Yeah, he does. But he gained fans as the show went on. My favorite Scooby-Doo movie is Zombie Island. That one was great. Phantom Saurus, WrestleMania Mystery. I thought that one was pretty good. Curse of the Speed Demon. That one's alright. Witch's Ghost. Yeah, that one's awesome. Alien Invaders. Yeah, that one's classic. Cyber Chase, also classic. And Ghoul School. That one I do like. I do have an appreciation for it. Commercial, it is off. Okay. Alright, just making sure. Alright, so I thought the Blue Scarab was pretty cool. He has an assortment of gadgets. He's kick-ass. He's a threat. He is actually pretty intimidating from time to time. The Blue Scarab is Scooby and Scrappy's favorite hero. They study his comic book, and they find out that the Blue Scarab is mimicking a new comic book the writer drafted. The Blue Scarab turns evil! Except not really. The comic is not released to the public yet. The Blue Scarab is enacting crimes he does.
Shopping for your next next car?
His crime spree, but he
What about a
didn't
sunroof?
finish writing it yet. The twist is he was hypnotized by a villain to commit crime.
With millions of cars nationwide, Auto Navigator makes it easy to find the perfect one for you, whatever that may be.
Pretty cool choice, pretty cool choice.
Shopping for your next car?
Did the ad come on again? I'm sorry, I have no control over that. I'm trying to block it. Yeah, sorry guys, apparently the tier list started adding ads and I have to knock them out. Alright, so Blue Scarab is a pretty kick-ass villain. I do like him. He is pretty fun, pretty intimidating. It's pretty cool the Scooby Gang are having a mystery where they have to combat an actual superhero as the villain. The Blue Scarab is actually the assistant of the comic creator. He was trying to ruin his boss's reputation in his comic book to get him fired and canceled because he wants to do his own stories. And why he couldn't do this legally, I do not know. It, like, really makes no sense. He could have just asked to have his own comic book character, but no, he decided to sabotage his boss out of petty jealousy. The Scooby Gang get into wacky antics, getting chased by him, trying to stop him from robbing places. The Blue Scarab has pretty cool gadgets. He leaves his calling card, a huge spray-painted, like, scarab beetle on walls, intimidates people, pretends he seems super heroic, but really it's all a bunch of tricks, a bunch of parlor tricks to appear supernatural. Scooby and Scrappy take him down and roll him up in a big paper roll, defeating him for good. And yeah, I think this one is pretty cool. Reminds me of kind of Goosebumps as the Masked Mutant, since he's a comic book character seemingly in the real world, and he honestly kind of looks like the Masked Mutant himself too, with that shade of blue, looking like a Golden Age superhero. Pretty fun villain. Yes, it did. Yeah, I hate those ads. I'm sorry. I don't have any control over them. I know they're annoying, but what can you do? I remember this villain practically predates the Goosebumps episode. Yeah, Attack of the Mutant, one of my favorites. It feels like you're stalling for the Scooby-Doo tier list. I kind of am. I'm sorry, but I'm trying to knock off ads as well. Try to ask for a new direction or make a new comic character. Nope, dress up and do some crime. Yeah, that's what he did, basically. Yeah, the Blue Scarab basically is a butthurt amateur comic book artist who was pissed off that he's still working for the real guy. Making sure those ads go off. Sorry, guys. Making sure they stay off.
Para sorprenderte.
Encuentra una oferta excepcional en Browning Mazda.
I don't know why it's so hard to do this with the ads. I don't know, I might have to stop streaming one of these days. It feels like you're stalling ads. Sorry, it's those stupid ads that keep coming and annoying me. Try to ask for a new direction or make a new comic book character. Alright, read that one. Okay, so the Blue Scarab basically is a pretty cool villain. I like the superhero genre shift they try to go for. I do like how fun he is, how kick-ass the character is, and seeing him being the first threat for in the Scrappy-Doo era honestly gave me hope that this was going to be a good era. Sadly, I was horribly mistaken, but I do like his MO. He's like so hilariously petty. He wanted to ruin the comic book author, only for the Scooby Gang to take him down, unmask him, and we find out he was just trying to, yeah, do this for the most petty reasons. Honestly, a pretty cool villain. I'm gonna put him onto S tier. Why don't you use your temper, monkey? Alright, next one is the Night Ghoul of London. The Scooby Gang go to Westworld for like the upteenth time. Yeah, I do not know why. But yeah, here's the Night Ghoul of London. He is going on to B tier. I think he's alright. Pretty fine villain. He does have his threatening moments. It's kind of hard to tell when he's the robot and when he's the actual guy in a monster suit. The Scooby Gang go to Westworld for vacation. If you don't know what Westworld is, basically it's an amusement park full of robots. A bunch of lifelike sentient robots who make it feel very real. Makes it you feel like you're actually in the past. They go to London World where Velma meets her hero Sherlock Holmes, who's a robot, and they solve a mystery with him, trying to crack the case of the Night Ghoul of London. The Night Ghoul is this mysterious deformed man going around attacking people. It turns out he stole the crown jewels from the Queen of England. Yeah, I'm not sure how he pulled off a great caper like that, but yeah, that's the case. The Scooby Gang tried to work with Sherlock Holmes, and it's honestly a pretty fun episode. I do like the weird robot world they go to. Yeah, this would not be the first or last time the Scooby Gang go to Westworld, but it is a very, very fascinating setting. Of course, Scrappy-Doo tries to fight the monster. For the first half, it's revealed the Night Ghoul is actually a robot. He's programmed to be a part of the mystery, but Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy inadvertently destroy the Night Ghoul robot. He falls into the water and electrocutes and short circuits, but we learn the twist. There's a real guy dressed as the Night Ghoul. Who is the Night Ghoul? It turns out to be the host of Westworld, not Ricardo Montalban. Yeah, this guy, he runs Westworld kind of like with that old show, trying to remember, Fantasy Island. Yeah, he's kind of a parody of Ricardo Montalban from Fantasy Island. He runs this, pretends to be this cool, caring host, and really the place... Sorry, annoying ads. Okay, so yeah, he runs this place as kind of this perfect vacation spot, and it turns out he stole the real crown jewels because they were made a replica for his Westworld set, and it turns out he actually stole the real ones and gave them fake ones. They find this out because there's like newspapers all around Westworld saying the crown jewels were stolen, and that clues into Velma that they had to have been stolen here by Westworld. There's no such thing as the Queen of England. Tampa Monkey is a program to block ads on a website. Yeah, I should probably get that. It's annoying to get it working, but it's worth it. Yeah, I figured. I'm starting to think Scooby-Doo series for some reason loves Westworld a lot, like I'm surprised there wasn't a Scooby-Doo movie where they went to Westworld for like a medieval fantasy or feudal Japan. That would be pretty awesome. Okay, so, yeah, the guy basically wanted to steal crown jewels. Honestly, the villain's design does not really do much for me. He looks like this kind of creepy, deformed man. They try to, like, make him look like a ghoulish person, like a literal ghoul, slash kind of a Jack the Ripper stand-in. He, like, wears a cloak and a top hat, but honestly, the design didn't really impress me. They have that kick-ass fight on the clock tower, and Warner Brothers should sue Disney because this is the exact same climax that we see in the Sherlock Holmes or the Great Mouse Detective movie. Yeah, it's like the exact same kind of climax. They have like a battle in the clock tower. The Night Ghoul is chasing Scooby, Shaggy, and Scrappy. They fall off the big clock tower, Big Ben replica. It's actually a pretty fun climax. So it turns out, yeah, that it was the host of Westworld because he stole the real crown jewels and was using the Night Ghoul identity to get away with it. So nobody could tell that the real crime was actually taking place. He tried to throw the Scooby Gang off by basically breaking... freaking ads. He, tried to basically throw the Scooby Gang off by rewriting Sherlock Holmes, sabotaging him. He, like, breaks down, and Velma figures out that, yeah, this had to be the host because he's the only one who has access to the robots. Honestly, the Night Ghoul is not the worst villain. It's pretty alright. I'm gonna put him on a B tier. Alright, next character... I swear, if this is another speaker ad, I really hate these. Okay. Doesn't look like it. Alright, next villain, the Alien. The Alien is going on to B tier. I do like how intimidating this thing is. Its design is pretty cool. The voice acting is pretty creepy and gnarly, but it is another one of my not favorite villains. I think it's pretty fine. We've seen much scarier aliens here on Scooby-Doo. This one does have the funniest scene where the Scooby Gang is actually going out camping, minding their own business. However, there's been a robbery, and we see like this badass sheriff chasing down a car. It turns out the car is being driven by an alien, and it is so surreal and weird. I absolutely love it. But yeah, basically it's driving around in this getaway car, trying to steal stuff, and it's so funny how we just cut to like what looks like a high-speed chase to, bam, ginormous alien driving in a car, stealing a bunch of radioactive metal. It turns out there's nuclear theft going on around the area, radioactive metals and uranium are being stolen, and it's implied to be the work of this evil alien. The alien is pretty gargantuan, giant, and muscular, always like slimy, very scaly. I will say the design is definitely the best part. However, the monster doesn't seem to do much, and it is so obvious who the villain is. The gang is out camping and they meet a whole bunch of suspicious characters, and I figured out instantly who the alien was because the alien and the lady share a same voice. They meet like this cowgirl named Tessie who is herding her mule across the country. They're like out in the woods, and she claims, oh, she's never seen the aliens. And yeah, she gets abducted by aliens in honestly the most obvious trap ever. Have you watched Joe Goes Over? I don't think so. Oh, he goes over Scooby-Doo villains and all their problems, outfits, execution, and operation. No, I have not seen him then. A cop chasing an alien in a car. What an odd, out-of-context moment. Yeah, it is. Well, Mr. Alien, you gotta cover those things up. This is a kid's show. Pretty funny. Okay, so yeah, basically, this thing is stealing a bunch of radioactive material and uranium, and it is so obvious who the villain is. Tessie and the alien have the exact same voice actress, and they try to make her sound like nice and different, but I figured out it was her. Tessie fakes getting abducted by aliens, and it turns out this is all just a light show.
A glass.
Like, it's all fake. There, that should help. Alright, yeah, it turns out this is all just a laser light show. She pretended to be abducted by aliens to scare the gang off. The gang figured out that this entire area has a bunch of radioactive material and uranium. They find out that her Geiger counter is affecting a bunch of other stuff, the technology at this hotel out in the forest. Scrappy, finds a remote that controls the sound effects she makes, basically figuring out that the alien is a complete phony. They have a pretty funny chase, though. They chase, the alien on a UFO, and the UFO is this fake Hollywood set that can be hoisted up on a crane. There's, construction going on nearby, and the alien scared away the workers to hijack their crane, basically, to use for a fake spaceship. That's what abducted Tessie. That's what they've been seeing flying around. That it's all a complete fake Hollywood effect, and it's really just this cardboard Twilight Zone set the alien is hiding in. Hi, Kat. My name is Sabrina Griffin, and my favorite character from The Haunting Hour is House. Yep, he's awesome. He's so funny, like you and Wolf. Thank you. House is a pretty fun star of the show. Look forward to seeing House in more future videos. Got some stuff on the way. Okay, so they have a fun fight scene with the alien, but the alien is ultimately hilariously kicked out of the UFO, falls, and we see, oh no, it's Tessie! And yeah, I called the twist. Honestly, I think the alien is a fine villain. They unmask Tessie, and Scrappy gets a final scare on his Uncle Scooby. Pretty funny stuff. Not the worst episode ever, but the villain, I find her alright. Definitely outclassed by other villains. I just wish it wasn't as obvious who it was, and we got a few more scary scenes with the alien, but I'll put it onto B tier. Alright, next we get to some good ones. The Neon Phantom, who is going on to S tier. Yeah, glad to see you, Sabrina Griffith. Alright, this is the Neon Phantom of the Spooky Roller Disco. Remember when roller discos were a thing? Alright, so the Scooby Gang is going to Hollywood, but Hollywood is haunted by a neon phantom. This really cool electric skeleton-looking monster. I really like this character. He is, very intimidating, has a really stellar design, really cool powers, too. We are kind of rehashing the 10,000 volt ghost a bit because the Neon Phantom has the power to absorb electricity. The Neon Phantom is attacking Hollywood and causing serious blackouts all over LA. Why? Because he's stealing the energy. He's literally a being of living energy. The Scooby Gang go to a roller disco, which apparently the Neon Phantom haunts over. They don't really find any clues, but they find a bunch of weird stuff, like materials that could be used for his suit. Meet a bunch of sketchy characters, and the Scooby Gang go to Hollywood. It's really funny. I do like this villain. His voice is kind of like Cobra Commander-esque, has a really shrill voice. The sparkles, eh? Well, sparkle no more. Nightmare? Well, time to turn off the night. Really silly voice, honestly. Everyone knows Disco's not dead. Daffy, Neon Noodle. Yeah, I do kind of like his outfit, honestly. It's a bit cheesy, but I do like the cool neon skeleton. He tries to do like a skeleton slash alien looking man, wearing like a black suit with neon lines all over him, trying to look like living electricity. I will say it's not half bad. He looks pretty intimidating, has this really iconic voice, and the Scooby Gang do have trouble catching him. The Scooby Gang chase him all the way up the Hollywood sign, and Scrappy-Doo is finally useful. He builds a trap to attack the Neon Phantom, only to accidentally launch Scooby up, who knocks the Neon Phantom down. They go falling and tumbling, and we find out who it is. Who is the Neon Phantom? It turns out he's the neighbor of the roller disco. He lives next door. He claims to be the landlord. Really, he's just their neighbor. We find out he was going to lose his house because the roller disco was so huge and popular that they were going to expand and it would destroy his house. And honestly, I kind of feel sorry for him. This guy was actually being a criminal because he wanted to save his house, wanted to frame the roller disco for the Neon Phantom. They would shut the roller disco down so he wouldn't lose his home, but no, instead he chose to dress up as a monster and steal electricity. He's like wearing some kind of special machine that has the ability to create EMPs and take away electricity. That's how the Neon Phantom appeared supernatural, which is a pretty cool power. Disco's not dead. Alright, catch up my comments. Yeah, I do like House 2. Voice, lights, camera, Shaggy. Let's get ready to roll. Voice actor, Lobster Monster break through the wall. Scooby-Doo goes to Hollywood. Surprising the Neon Phantom wouldn't be the worst thing to happen to LA. Cough fires, cough layoffs, cough all movie productions, cough homelessness, cough rise of crime. Reference to the old, the 1990s Scooby-Doo VHS DVD videos. Pretty fun. Okay, so I think the Neon Phantom, honestly pretty cool. Yes, he is kind of a rehash of the 10,000 volt ghost, but honestly not that bad of one. I'm gonna put him onto S tier, and also actually unintentionally sympathetic. Pretty cool villain. Next, we get another cool one, the Snake Demon. Yep, here's one of the fan favorite monsters of this era. Snake Demon, yeah, obviously going on to S tier. This monster is pretty gnarly, really gross looking, really disturbing. He's a walking snake man, kind of like this man with a snake head, snake abilities, really scrawny body, sharp fangs, and he's always hissing. The Snake Demon is really cool. The Scooby Gang is going to South America to party. It's Mardi Gras, only to bump into a snake demon. The Snake Demon is after a priceless jewel cobra, which of course Daphne and Shaggy buy. The cobra is actually a rare treasure they want. It's believed that this thing protects you from the Snake Demon, only to ironically draw the Snake Demon because, of course, the Snake Demon is a guy in a suit. And it leads to kind of a wacky adventure on a boat. It is kind of weird we have a Scooby-Doo on a cruise episode, only to not have an actual aquatic monster in this episode. Instead, we have this walking Cobra Man, and yeah, I do really like him. It looks like a bit like Cobra Khan. Walking snake creatures are pretty cool. Very sinister voice, really scary attitude. Do like this villain. Unfortunately, his second disguise is not so good. The Snake Demon gets 2 costumes. He's this cool, awesome demon chasing Scooby, Shaggy, and Scrappy around, barely dodging them, slithering in the water. Then we get to his second outfit, which sucks. The Clown! Yes, you heard that right. The Clown, who is going on to F tier. The Snake Demon is actually a smuggler, stealing a bunch of rare stuff and priceless artifacts, and hiding incognito in a Mardi Gras parade as a clown on a float. The Clown is driving his own float, which has hidden treasures inside of it, and of course, the boys happen to hitch a ride on board to enjoy the parade. It turns out the Clown is the Snake Demon. And there's this really funny scene where Scrappy falls on the Clown's head, and this is just a mask, revealing a snake popping out of where his head would be. If anyone remembers that, you deserve a Scooby snack crackers. Okay, sorry, reading your comments. My cat Roxy loves to drink milk from my bowl that I eat out of my cereal of. She meows every time Roxy wants some. Well, milk is pretty good. We cats love that. Snake Demon is so cool, but got a massive downgrade as a boring clown. Why? Yeah, so the clown outfit is supposed to be a civilian disguise. The Snake Demon wears like 2 costumes in one. He wears the snake costume under the clown costume. He disguises himself as a civilian instead of, oh, I don't know, just taking his monster suit off, driving a parade float, stealing his stolen loot. But the gang catch on, try to save Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy. They knock off the clown mask, which reveals his snake head underneath, and it looks so goofy. Like, we have the clown's body, but with the snake's head on it. It looks so bizarre. But they get into a high-speed chase on a parade float, only to knock him off, revealing that the Snake Demon / the clown were actually the captain's first mate. The captain's first mate was using the cruise to steal a bunch of illegal stuff, and he wanted to steal Daphne and Shaggy's priceless antique cobra statue because it was a rare treasure. He was using it to get by and would escape incognito in the parade on a float. But what gave him away is the parade float was made of the same flowers they kept finding around the boat, hinting that this guy was the exact same person. And yeah, it kind of made Velma realize that they're using the parade as an escape route. And yeah, the clown honestly sucks. The snake monster, really cool though. He's going on S tier for sure. Snake Demon upgrade, clown pop-up, go back. I've said go back. Yeah, okay. The clown disguise, really awful. I'm kind of surprised it made it on here. But yeah, the Snake Demon, really cool villain. They unmask him and Scrappy plays his own Mardi Gras solo. Honestly, a pretty entertaining episode overall, but man, the clown suit is just so ridiculous. He's going on F tier. I'm sorry. It's just goofy. Snake Demon, though, S tier. Alright, next is the Sky Skeleton. Now, I do kind of appreciate this villain where at your simple evil guy in skeleton outfit will not be the last time we see a villain like this, but this is the evil Sky Skeleton. He flies a jet built like a skeleton, or has like a skeleton drawn underneath, kind of is like a ghostly Red Baron, who is scaring away pilots on an airfield. And this villain, honestly not too shabby. I will put him onto A tier. What wins him points is, I do love he has his own vehicle, has like this biplane which has a cartoon skeleton drawn underneath it to make him appear like he's a giant scary ghost. It's pretty cool, but when he gets out of it, he's this undead looking pilot guy, and honestly, it's not half bad of a design. The episode could use some tweaking here and there, but yes, the Scooby Gang go to an air show, and they encounter the Sky Skeleton. They try to basically solve the mystery, help save the airfield because it's under threat of getting shut down because of the ghost hauntings. And we get into wacky antics. Scrappy nearly slices Shaggy and Scooby in a giant wind tunnel fan. Just another reason to make you hate him. But the Sky Skeleton, honestly pretty intimidating. He has a bunch of like little remote controls everywhere. Has like a dummy inside the jet plane to appear in 2 places at once. Throws people off of who he is, which makes him a rather entertaining villain. Though I'm sad to say he's not as cool as a top 3 because, yeah, we're kind of in basic guy in skeleton suit. They do give him kind of funny pilot gear if you can't see. He's like wearing the pilot cap, wearing a brown coat, looking like Charles Lindbergh or the Red Baron or something. Pretty fun chase scene though in the sky when he's chasing them, driving that cool skeleton plane. Yeah, that plane definitely won him a lot of points. But we meet a bunch of sketchy characters, jealous Air Force girl, nice Air Force girl, the depressed boss, and the nice reporter. Who is the Sky Skeleton? It turns out to be the reporter. The reporter pretended to be a nice guy, but really he was a complete douche. He was trying to run the airfield out of business because he discovered there's oil here. Yep, it was all about oil. There's actually oil underneath this airfield, and he marked a bunch of spots where he's mining it, but he needed to get everyone away so he could buy it legally and own the oil field. So he disguised himself as a creepy skeleton man to terrorize everyone. Apparently this journalist guy also has a pilot's license, because he was doing some really sick moves up in the air, but I think the Sky Skeleton actually is a pretty fun antagonist. A skeleton riding a Red Baron plane. What's next? A skeleton on a motorcycle? Oh wait, and don't forget Mr. Bone Jangles. Sky Skeleton kind of reminds me of some monster truck's Hot Wheels. Okay, so Sky Skeleton, honestly simple villain in design, but really interesting antagonist. Alright, making sure you guys can hear me. Sorry, I'm gonna be doing that frequently because I hate those ads. Yeah, not too shabby. Going on to 8 here. Making sure you guys can't hear the ads. Yeah, I do have the mute on, so you shouldn't be hearing them. Alright, sorry guys, sorry for stalling. Alright, let's get to the next villain. The Demon in the Dugout. And yeah, we got another dud here. This one's going on to D tier. I am not a fan of this villain's design. The Scooby Gang go to Japan to watch the World Series baseball game. Japan versus America at baseball. It's America and Japan's pastime. However, the Japanese Coliseum is being haunted by this dragon. A Japanese dragon slash demon is haunting the baseball field and threatening to shut the game down or suffer the consequences. And I am not a fan of this design. He looks like kind of like a weird evil puppy. It is so bizarre. I know Japanese dragons look very different from Western dragons, but I mean, just look at this thing. Are you scared of this? It looks like a McGruff the Crime Dog type of villain. He's like this weird green dog-looking creature in a kimono. It's just so bizarre. How do you do, samurai? Okay, this is the Demon in the Dugout. He's basically haunting a baseball stadium. The gang and Scrappy, of course, get into wacky antics, find underground passages, get into chase scenes. The demon seemingly appears in multiple places at once, and to his credit, he does try following the Scooby Gang back to their hotel to scare them. Funny scenarios, wacky antics, but who is the demon? And what is his endgame? It turns out there is a championship trophy which has a real diamond attached to it. Japan is taking care of it. It's sealed in a vault. However, people are afraid this demon is going to try to steal this trophy, only for us to learn he already has. The diamond was swapped out with a fake glass diamond. Velma figures this out when she talks to the owner of the field, and we see the diamond actually scratches the glass and gets cut, but if it were a real diamond, it would be unable to do that, making Velma realize that the demon has already made the switch, just trying to make it simulate that there's a villain actually doing all this. The Scooby Gang find an underground cavern, which is how the demon has been getting around the stadium and getting away from the authorities multiple times. And yeah, fun fight scene. They go to like a fireworks factory in Japan, blow some stuff up. It turns out the demon is actually the baseball field owner. He wanted to steal the diamond and blame it on a ghost, because that would never hold up in court. And yeah, the Scooby Gang basically expose him and get America and Japan to finally play the sports game to unite us once and for all. Yeah, honestly, not too big a fan of this monster. I do not like this design. He kind of looks kind of like a green Falcor. It's really weird. Of all the monsters to use for a Japanese Scooby-Doo episode, it's a dog-looking creature thing. I would rather use a giant skeleton monster, given that they already have a giant skeleton yokai. That would have been awesome, but no, we get this ridiculous character. It was supposed to be an Eastern dragon, and the animation just did not come out right. That's why he's going on to D tier. Really lame villain. Speaking of which, got another lame villain, the Devil Bear. It is literally just a bear. The Scooby Gang go to find, basically like to a Native American village, and it's haunted by a devil bear. And what's the difference between this and a normal bear? Well, there is none. There is really none. It is just literally a big bear that's bigger than the average bear. It's literally just an animal. Honestly, it's kind of lame. The Scooby Gang go to like a Native American village. Some items are being stolen, and they're trying to find out who did it. Fozzie, excuse me, but I don't think that belongs to you. Yeah, waka waka. Yeah, the Scooby Gang go to like a Native American village. There's an archaeology team uncovering artifacts, and they're afraid they've disturbed the spirit of the Devil Bear. The Devil Bear is this ancient punisher who will kill anyone for stealing artifacts. Ironically, that is exactly what the Devil Bear is doing. The Devil Bear is smuggling out Native American artifacts, trying to gaslight the archaeology team into thinking that it's it's their fault. They caused this problem. They're the ones stealing artifacts underneath the natives' noses. No, it's actually this evil douche who's a part of the team, and he was stealing the artifacts for himself using a bear. And honestly, this episode is not my favorite. It's very slow, very boring, and the bear is not an interesting villain. It is just a bear. It is literally just a bear. It claws at them, it chases the gang, it growls at them, but it doesn't really talk, doesn't have much of a character, and you know it's absolutely fake. Because we see the bear has underground caverns, it appears from time to time in places it couldn't have gotten to, unless there was a person under there, and weirdly I think Michael Bell also voices this bear. He's like using kind of his Duke voice, you can really hear it in him. But yeah, the bear kind of growls like a regular man in a suit. It's not a good villain, easily one of the worst villains on this tier list. It's a bear, going on to F tier. Oh, hey, John Smith, you made it. Just in time. Didn't miss much. I've been stalling to wait for people and also get rid of obnoxious ads. Make sure you guys can hear me. Oh god, another bad Native American Scooby-Doo monster. I'm starting to think Scooby-Doo is cursed when it comes to Native American monsters. Like, still no skinwalkers or Wendigo, even to this day. Yeah, they really should have, but I guess those were too hardcore. Honestly, the bear is not really racist, but it's just boring. It's a regular friggin' bear. Going on to F tier. That demon bear looks less like a bear, but a werewolf, because look at it. They tried to make it look demonic, okay? Easily worst villain on this tier list. Up next is the Sea Monster. Not the first sea monster the Scooby Gang have fought, but definitely an interesting one. This one, funnily enough, going on to C tier. The Sea Monster, it's decent, but nothing really special. The Scooby Gang go to a water diving competition somewhere in Central America. I believe they called it like an Aztec demon monster. The Sea Monster is basically just that, a sea monster haunting the area, scaring away all the Olympic divers and Olympic swimmers, ruining the Olympics. The Scooby Gang tries to solve this mystery and help save the Olympics so all the swimmers can finish their competition. This thing is appearing at random spots, chasing the gang, terrorizing them. Sometimes we get underwater chases. I do love the gang going on underwater cases because those are usually fun, really interesting visuals, and seeing the gang underwater fighting weird sea creatures, that is all kinds of entertainment. But the Sea Monster, it's fine. They try to make it look like the creature of the Black Lagoon, but to questionable degrees. I do think the design looks pretty alien and creepy, but the Sea Monster doesn't have much of a personality, not much of a backstory either. It's supposed to be another guardian who's pissed off that the people are ruining the land by having their Olympic Games on it, which does not really make a whole lot of sense. And also, it is so obvious who's underneath the Sea Monster outfit. I'm very sad that Manny the Mantis passed away from your channel. Yeah, he was a devastating loss. He is my second favorite Haunting Hour character. He'll appreciate that. I don't remember any of these monsters except for the trilogy movies. Hey, Shadow, you made it. Didn't miss too much. I was getting rid of ads for the first half. But yeah, we're here. Talking about the Sea Monster right now. And the Sea Monster, he's fine. Honestly, he probably could have gotten away with his entire crime if he didn't, dress up as a monster. What's the Sea Monster up to? Well, get this. Apparently, the Sea Monster is smuggling pearls by putting the jewels inside of oysters and clams that he dumps in the water, then dresses up as a sea monster to dive in and retrieve, using this underwater cavern cave as his secret base. And he's been trying to scare people away from it so they won't find out his criminal activities. Honestly, this guy probably could have gone away with it without dressing up as a sea monster. Yeah, he's smuggling pearls inside oysters to dump in the water, then dig up through his underwater cavern base so he can escape with a bunch of stolen jewels and rare pearls. Most unnecessary, overly complex villain plot ever. And it is so obvious who the monster is, because when you really think about it, it makes no sense. One of the Olympic divers is behind it. He faked his disappearance, pretended he was attacked by the sea monster, said, "Oh no, the sea monster's after me," and he disappears in the water and we never see him again until the unmasking scene comes off. And yeah, right then and there, I figured out it was him. It was like exactly him. And he would have gotten away with it if it weren't for those meddling kids. He would have. He really would have. Making sure you guys can't hear ads. Alright. Yeah, basically, the sea monster probably could have gotten away with it, but no, they fight him underwater, and he's foiled by his own stupidity. Yeah, it turns out to be one of the Olympic racers. He tried to use the Olympics to fake his disappearance, which honestly attracted more attention to his crime. Yeah, a pretty dumb scheme. He's gone on to C tier. And honestly, the sea monster outfit is not that impressive. I do like the detail they gave his face, but we see much better Scooby monsters in other shows. Gone on to see, very underwhelming. Speaking of underwhelming, we also have the octopus. Who is the octopus? Well, this isn't actually a monster, it's a real octopus. While Scooby, Shaggy, and Scrappy are fumbling around in the underwater cave, Scooby and Shag get attacked by an octopus, and Scrappy has a fight scene with this octopus. And yeah, this villain sucks because 1, he's not a monster, he's literally an animal, and 2, he gets his butt whooped by Scrappy. Yeah, this guy gets beaten up by Scrappy. That is F tier. Yeah, Shaggy and Scooby are basically screwing around in the cave, and this octopus tries jumping them, kind of Family Guy style, but Scrappy saves his uncle and Shaggy and beats up the octopus. It's supposed to show you how badass Scrappy is, but shows you how really, really lame the octopus is. Hey, Kat, I'm glad you posted today because I had a crazy week. Hey, Monica, glad you can make it. How is getting from Pearl from oysters is illegal, not stolen? It's from oysters in the sea. Well, he also had like pearl necklaces and jewelry he was stealing. That was kind of a part of the scheme. Sorry if I forgot to mention that, but yeah, he was like stealing a bunch of pearls and jewels and didn't want to give them over to the government or the jewelers. This era did not have lots of villains, I see. Yeah, not too much. That's why I added the Scrappy trilogy movies. Yeah, the octopus basically gets beaten up by Scrappy. That's his whole purpose. He's there to be a jobber to show you how awesome Scrappy is. On to the better villains. Next we get the vampire. Now, I really wish this episode got a remaster or an updated on the animation because it's actually a pretty good episode, but with really janky animation. This is the Lady Vampire of San Francisco. The Scooby Gang go to San Francisco for like the first time in this era, and they meet a lady vampire. The lady vampire has stolen rare jewelries in San Francisco, and honestly what makes her interesting is she frames Daphne. She tries to make it look like Daphne is a vampire. Daphne is feeling like queasy. She disappears whenever the vampire shows up, and the vampire kind of looks like Daphne, so it does win her some points. I will put her onto high B tier, honestly. A giant octopus gets beaten up by a small puppy. That might be the perfect giant octopus, pussiest giant octopus I've ever seen. Yeah, this is the Lady Vampire of San Francisco. Honestly, it's a pretty engaging episode. The Scooby Gang go to San Francisco, they visit Alcatraz Island, and this Lady Vampire is terrorizing the area, trying to steal this valuable gem, trying to commit crimes, and we find out there's like a whole bunch of suspects. They have a lot of female suspects this time. The Scooby Gang like meets a lot of random female characters, and Daphne is actually framed for the Lady Vampire's crimes, because she kind of looks like Daphne. Daphne is showing symptoms of a vampire. Honestly, it's a pretty interesting story that I do really like. I just wish the animation got an update. But yeah, Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy have the worst of luck. They keep bumping into the Lady Vampire. They keep mistaking her for Daphne. Pretty interesting chase scenes, and yeah, basically, the plan is to steal a gem, and the vampire is actually one of the guests in their tour group, which makes her a lot more ingenious compared to the other villains. It turns out the jewel was not owned by San Francisco. It was stolen years ago by a criminal named Lefty Callahan. And the twist is, Lefty was not a male. Lefty Callahan was a woman. And she disguised herself as the vampire to return to the scene of the crime, basically, to finish stealing her gem. They frame Daphne, have a fight at like a theater. They defeat the vampire, and honestly in a really weird defeat. Lefty's like not captured. She gets like exposed when the Scooby Gang find out, yeah, who she is. It turns out it was the old lady. Lefty Callahan disguised herself as the lady vampire and this nice old lady who turned out to be evil. She was like wearing a bunch of makeup. It's not a mask apparently or a wig. She's just wearing like a bunch of makeup, and it is so weird. Yeah, Daphne clears her good name, shows she's always been a good guy all along. They recapture the jewel and Lefty gets arrested. Honestly, the defeat of this villain is easily the worst. She, basically gets exposed because Daphne and Velma figure it out. She's actually wearing tons of makeup. She's like wearing her old lady makeup, then her vampire makeup, then her actual face. Really weird. Okay, so, yeah, Lady Vampire, honestly seen better vampire characters, but I'll put her on the B tier. Really wanted to see more of her, but man, does this episode need an update. Alright, next one, the Star Creature. Alright, off to some good villains again. This is the Star Creature, an alien ghost. The Scooby Gang go to the local observatory, which is being haunted by this humanoid crystal star creature. And yeah, this design is really cool. Going on to S tier for sure. The Scooby Gang are attacked by space aliens again, and this alien's design really cool. It's like a walking crystal star beast. It looks very gnarly, almost to the point where you kind of question, is there even a guy inside that costume? Because it's really lanky, really scrawny, looks so alien. But man, this design really iconic. Sorry, we thought you were the vampire, Daphne. Yeah, this design, so cool. The Star Creature, like, glows in the dark, has this really distinct appearance, really shrill voice, too. It sounds like, kind of like Starscream. I swear, this character feels like it was inspired by Transformers. It, like, looks very blocky, has that really distinct Starscream shrill voice, really alien design. Yeah, I do love it a lot. It looks cool, very threatening, appears, like, 8 feet tall. This was definitely one of the more memorable villains. That crystal creature reminds me of that creature from the Format Wars and regular show. Yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it? Looks like the Laserdisc entity. Okay, so, yeah, the Star Creature definitely is very weird. They try to hint that it's an alien. Unfortunately, the Star Creature is not as involved as you'd think. The Scooby Gang are, like, exploring the observatory, and I swear, there's, like, 1/3 of the episode dedicated to Scooby accidentally pissing off a bear. Like, yeah, he pisses off a bear, gets chased by a bear, and Scrappy saves him. It is so weird and such obvious filler. I really wanted to see more of the creature. But the creature is trying to sabotage business at the observatory. Why? Well, it turns out the Star Creature is using the telescope to spy upon buildings in the city and random people to commit corporate espionage and steal and sell secrets. That is not the plan I thought this monster would be having. But yeah, it's using the big observatory telescope to spy on private offices, like study combinations, watch people, watch CEOs make deals, and basically commit corporate espionage. It's selling secrets, getting blackmail material, using the telescope for evil. The Scooby Gang fight him, meet a bunch of obvious suspects. We meet like some obvious ones like the night janitor, the guard who ran away when the Star Creature scared him, the scientist working overnight for some reason, the CEO who owns the observatory. A lot of interesting suspects, a lot of wacky chase scenes. But who is the Star Creature? Well, the Scooby Gang fights him in the observatory, and hilariously, the monster gets clotheslined by the telescope. Pretty funny defeat, honestly. They're being chased in the observatory, and Scrappy causes the telescope to rotate out of control and pretty much whacks the monster, where we see it was the CEO. Yeah, because of course it was. The CEO, like, appeared for, like, a couple of scenes, and honestly, it's very weird seeing him in a suit. Like, his head does not look like it fits inside the suit. His proportions are, like, so off. It's kind of funny because the Star Creature looks scrawnier than he actually is, and seeing his, like, head poke out of this thing looks very off. But yeah, it was the CEO of the observatory. He wanted to commit corporate espionage to make billions, but he was trying to scare the scientists out of the observatory because he was afraid they were using it too much and might catch on to his telescope being pointed at the city every night. He tried to scare away one of the scientists who was working late shifts, basically to keep it all for himself, only to accidentally fight the Scooby Gang and expose his entire criminal operation. Yeah, honestly, really weird scheme, but I'll give it S tier. This monster looks cool, acts cool, has a distinct voice, and was definitely one of the more standouts of this very rough season. Yeah, now you mention it, it would have been weird seeing Redbeard's ghost get chased by a regular shark. Looks like a supervillain rather than a horror villain. Yeah, it kinda does. This is probably the coolest Scooby-Doo alien monster because it looks so cool. It makes you wonder, how is this even a costume? Exactly, especially because his arms look so scrawny. Sorry, it cuts off here, but he's got like very small twig arms. It looks so surreal. How could anyone move or even speak here, given there's no eye holes in that star creature suit? It's implied the suit is like made of glass or plastic, like he can see from his side, but you can't see him. I think that's what they were trying to go for. But yeah, the star creature, definitely a standout. Going on to S tier for sure. Alright, next is the shadow creature. And this one I feel is underrated. The shadow creature is also going on to S tier. Going under the alien. But yeah, this is the shadow creature. Once again, the Scooby-Doo goes to Hollywood, but this time for a horror con. The Scooby Gang is attending a horror award show. However, during the premiere of a new movie, the shadow creature, the monster comes to life and walks right out of the horror movie to terrorize people at the horror awards. And yeah, it's a big love letter for classic Universal horror monsters. I really love that the Scooby Gang just made him Satan. He looks like kind of like a satyr type of demon. You can't see, but he has like goat legs underneath him. Has kind of like a satanic look to him. Has like devil horns, evil beard, evil red eyes, cackling laughter. I am the shadow creature, and I bring darkness. Yeah, really creepy stuff. The Scooby Gang basically go to like this Resident Evil mansion. There's all sorts of your crazy horror MO. Secret passages, lifelike replicas, evil statues, evil creatures, the portraits that have eyes that follow you around the room. Basically your classic Scooby-Doo fanfare, but a lot of love tributes and love letters for classic horror. Like we see a lot of the guests are dressed as monsters, which kind of throw the gang off. There is kind of a bit of filler here. The Scooby Gang get lost in a hedge maze, get lost in the Labyrinth Mansion, bump into a lot of fake ghosts. They like get chased by the Bride of Frankenstein, bump into a Dracula knockoff, bump into a werewolf knockoff, bump into like celebrities disguised as their iconic horror characters. It's that kind of episode. The shadow creature does appear from time to time, and honestly, he's very creepy, very intimidating, always lurking in the shadows. Has the ability to use like telekinesis. He's using a bunch of Hollywood effects and sets to make it seem like he has superpowers. Like he's casting flames, he's levitating furniture, he's appearing and disappearing at random places. It's all really a part of his stage. The entire house is actually a big movie set, which they use to record horror movies, but he's using it to appear like a real horror monster. Really creepy stuff. We meet like a whole bunch of suspects, a bunch of wacky guests, a bunch of people who hate that they never win horror awards, a bunch of people who feel like they're entitled to awards, a bunch of people who want to buy the horror mansion so they can use it for their own purposes. A lot of fun stuff. But who is the villain? Well, the Scooby Gang get into a fun chase scene, get chased in a Stephen King hedge maze, fall through trapdoors, eventually defeat him in like the study or pool room, like they crush like a billiards table on him. Really funny stuff. It turns out the guy is actually the host of the horror awards because he wanted to drum up excitement and interest in the horror house because he's actually going broke. He is not a billionaire anymore. He's lost money, he's gone bankrupt, and he became the shadow creature to attack people, to pressure people into coming to his horror house and donating money. It's honestly kind of a weird scheme. I'm not sure how having a real monster would attract tourism in your house, especially in the realm of Scooby-Doo. But yeah, he didn't want to sell his horror house and lose his livelihood, so he disguised himself as a demonic monster to terrorize people. That's the same episode where Shaggy and Scooby get chased by a guy dressed like Dracula and another dressed like the Bride of Frankenstein. Yep, it's that episode. How could anyone could move or speak or hear in that? Oh, the star creature. Yeah, there's no eye holes. It's literally Satan, but because this is a kid's show, they have to make it look like Satan, but not actually make him Satan to avoid angry parents. Yeah, he's basically recolored Satan. He's supposed to be red, but they kind of darken the colors a bit. I will say it's pretty cool that they had a monster who's literally Satan on Scooby-Doo. That's just fun stuff. Yeah, he's definitely going on to S tier. Though his motive is a bit sketchy, which is why he's going in the last place on the S tier. He wanted to save his house by drumming up excitement in it, by attracting publicity by having a literal demon haunting it, but he got exposed by the Scooby Gang. So now the horror awards will be hosted somewhere else, but yeah, I'll put them onto S tier. Definitely a fun, campy villain, I will say. Definitely one of the more big standouts of the Scrappy era, going on to S tier. Alright, got Wikipedia here to remember this guy's name. Yeah, got that. Vampire Lady, Star Creature. Here it is. The frozen ghost of Jeremiah Pratt. Yep, here he is. So, we finally have a ghost who's an actual dead guy. The ghost of Jeremiah Pratt, and he is going on to A tier. Yes, we finally have a Scooby-Doo episode which has a ghost of a real guy who died. The Scooby Gang are going snow skiing for like, what, the 200th time, only to stumble upon a mystery. This is Jeremiah Pratt. He's apparently an evil highwayman who stole a bunch of valuable treasures, but died freezing to death, hiding it somewhere in the snowy mountains. The gang show up, get into wacky ski antics, and bump into this ghost, and this ghost, honestly, kind of creepy. He's voiced by Michael Bell, who I instantly recognize because he uses his Sergeant Duke voice for the character. But yeah, we have a guy who died freezing to death in the snow, and he's basically a walking ice corpse. That is just so cool. He shows up to terrorize the Scooby Gang, trying to find the mysterious loot that disappeared. That's the obvious mystery. The loot was stolen by the US government and was hidden somewhere in the snowy mountains, but his wagon was completely frozen over, and the ghost is scaring tourists away to keep the mountain to himself. I'm the ghost of Jeremiah Pratt. This is my mountain. Be gone. Really creepy voice, really creepy antics, and yeah, basically the frozen ghost done right. A ghost based on an actual dead person, a family picture. Yeah, that makes him so fun. Yeah, this guy was actually a real person in Scooby-Doo, and he died freezing to death, and now he became a walking ice corpse, walking around the mountain scaring people away, trying to find his lost loot. And the Scooby Gang get into wacky antics. Honestly, there's only one reason why he's knocked down a level, and that's because this ghost does suffer a lot of wacky antics. He likes trying to chase Scooby, Shaggy, and Scrappy, falls into like an ice river, gets comically humiliated. I would say he does come close to murdering Scooby and Shaggy, where he uses like this insane Hulk strength to break their ski lift wire. That is like kind of insane Marvel level strength there. But yeah, he has his funny moments. It's kind of funny because Scooby and Shag kind of ignore him comedically at points too. It's just kind of cheapens some of his intimidation factor. I guess because it made the kids show feel a lot safer. That, oh, we don't see this guy like, you know, rotting or sending death threats. Instead, Shaggy and Scooby like accidentally run him over, accidentally like close the door on him at one point when he's trying to scare them. That kind of stuff, which just cost him some points. But yeah, this monster, really creepy, really nice design. Michael Bell definitely having the time of his life as this villain. And it's pretty interesting that, yeah, we finally have a Scooby episode referencing the ghosts were once real people who died here. So, we meet a bunch of wacky characters like the creepy housemaid, a bunch of skiers who are here for competition, the weird owner of the lodge, a lot of interesting red herrings. But who is the monster? Well, the Scooby Gang try to fake him out by revealing that, oh, they found the lost wagon full of loot that he was looking for, only to have a Fred trap, which is ruined because Scrappy's an idiot, but they cause an avalanche, which nearly kills them all, but they hop into the wagon, get into wacky fights, and end up snowed in at the ski lodge, where this guy's kind of like anticlimactically covered in snow, like Mr. Freeze style. Yeah, he's like frozen like from his bottom half. It's so weird. He somehow got frozen in an avalanche, but that's how they capture him. Who is the ghost of Jeremiah Pratt? It turns out to be one of the competitive skiers, because he's the great descendant of Jeremiah Pratt. He wanted to complete his ancestors' crime by finding that loot because it belonged to him. But we find out the loot was stolen by the US government. So legally, the government owns it all, and he gets a nice jail cell. Yeah, basically, he wanted to fulfill his ancestors' legacy and dressed up as him to basically scare people away so he could keep the hunt all to himself. But yeah, the Scooby Gang expose him, and Jeremiah Pratt's legend can now rest in peace. Honestly, a pretty intimidating villain. I will give him some points for that. I'm gonna put him onto A tier. What are you gonna do to us, your ghostliness? It was red herring. Yeah, I do like that we did have a ghost based on a dead guy, so he wins a lot of points for that. I'll put him onto A tier for awesome. Alright, next, we get, the magic ghost, the magician's mentor ghost, or as I like to call him, Ghost Dumbledore. This guy, honestly going on to high B tier. The Scooby Gang go to a magic show, and if you know your old pal Cat, I love magic. Magic is just so enchanting, so wondrous, and allows you to be super creative and imaginative. The Scooby Gang are going to a magic show where it's attacked by the ghost of, I believe that his name was the Great Muldane. Yeah, or Haldane, the Great Haldane. Yeah, basically, this guy interrupts a magic show and destroys a rare black pearl. Insert Pirates of the Caribbean joke here. Yeah, he shows up, destroys this rare jewel, and the jewel has completely shattered. But, haha, it was all just an illusion. The real jewel is fine, but it's been stolen by the ghost. And the Scooby Gang try to crack the case. Yes, this is another one where the Scooby Gang help a magical case. They're like meeting a bunch of magicians, the magician's sexy assistant, all the CEOs who invested in the magic show, going to like a carnival chase briefly. This character, honestly not too shabby. I do wish they kind of did more with the design, but once again, points for having it be an actual dead guy this time. The Scooby Gang find out from the magician who was performing the trick that this was his mentor figure. He was once a great wizard until he tragically passed away, but now his ghost is here to haunt him because he's trying to basically steal the Black Pearl. That's the whole case. He was supposed to do a trick with the Black Pearl, only for the ghost to show up and take it away. If Jack Sparrow was there, he would be angry. Yeah, he would be. And honestly, this guy is not too shabby. Basically, pale white ghost. I do kind of jokingly call him the ghost of Dumbledore because he looks like your old-fashioned wizard archetype. Kind of funny villain. He has his threatening moments, but he loses points because Scooby, Shaggy, and Scrappy comically humiliate him too. He's like annoyed by their attempts at pathetic magic tricks, accidentally gets knocked out by them, accidentally gets like a poster pasted all over him. It's really funny stuff and kind of robs him of some intimidation factor. We meet a bunch of colorful characters to throw you off. I will say it is kind of an interesting mystery because they attempt to hide who it is. Pretty fun stuff, a lot of magic tricks, chase through the sets, chase through a carnival. This guy's not half bad as a villain, but honestly held a bit back by being a comic relief villain, getting comically defeated from time to time. But the Scooby Gang lay a trap at the magic show. They pretend, oh, we found the Black Pearl. The Black Pearl is safe, and we're returning it to the proper authorities, prompting the ghost to strike, where the ghost reveals that, yeah, he stole the real Black Pearl. It turns out they made a fake one to throw the ghost off, lure him into a trap, have a bunch of fun chase scenes, only for them to capture him with, of course, a bunch of magic tricks. I believe they caught him in like a magic box. It's pretty funny. But who was the ghost? Well, it turns out to be the prime stage magician. He was using his mentor's identity to fake the destruction of the Black Pearl because he stole the real one all along. However, he was trying to get away with it only to be forced to hide it because the Scooby Gang were investigating. Yeah, for once, the Scooby Gang actually interfered with the villain's plan again. It turns out this was all an illusion. The Black Pearl is okay. They switched it out with a fake one where he used a tuning fork trick to make it look like it shattered. He casted projections of the magician's ghost to fool people into believing that he was innocent because they were in the same room together. He used basically misdirection, like every classic magician. Wanted to frame his mentor's ghost for it and steal the real Black Pearl to retire a rich mage. But he would have gotten away with it if not for those meddling kids. And yeah, he's arrested, the Black Pearl's returned to Jack Sparrow, and we get a funny magic ending. Honestly, this villain's not too bad, but he's also not what I would say a complete masterpiece level villain. Not high class, definitely B tier. My mom sometimes takes me to a store called Dig and Save. It's like a St. Vincent store, but it's a bit bigger where I find lots of Pokemon items. Oh, cool, I'll have to check it out. Captain Jack Sparrow, if you please. Jack Sparrow. Yeah, it's funny. Black Pearl was stolen. Okay, the Magician's Ghost, not too shabby. I'll put him onto high B tier. Alright, next we get the Minotaur. Yep, the Scooby Gang goes to ancient Greece for the first time this time, where they bump into a Minotaur. This Minotaur actually haunts an island, is threatening people, comes out at night to basically attack and terrorize people, scaring them away from his criminal activities. The Scooby Gang goes to ancient Greece, and this Minotaur runs afoul of their vacation, getting into wacky antics, chase scenes through a bunch of Greek architecture, old temples, that like, and the Minotaur, honestly, is not bad a villain. He has pretty good dance moves. Go and put him onto A tier. Low A tier for sure, but still A tier. Okay, yeah, basically, it's a Minotaur, a Greek mythological creature, and he wins major points over the bear, especially, because he can actually talk. The Minotaur has this deep, gravelly voice, really huge anger issues. He is hiding in like a Greek labyrinth, really cool character. Yeah, it's a allusion to the Minotaur's maze, but honestly, I do kind of like this villain, especially his dance moves. The Scooby Gang tried distracting him, and Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy have a Greek dance, and the Minotaur joins in them. Yeah, it's kind of that kind of cartoon antics. Pretty funny because the Minotaur got really into it. But yeah, the Minotaur basically is terrorizing ancient Greece, and this guy is actually a threat because apparently all of this entire village knows and fears him. They try to get indoors at night before the Minotaur's on the loose because he comes out every sundown and basically terrorizes the land all nightfall. Really powerful points there in his favor. Sorry, catch him on comments, seeing if you guys can hear me. Alright, sorry. Making sure everything's working. Okay, so yeah, Minotaur, pretty cool villain, pretty great dance moves, pretty awesome voice, I will say, and love the allusions to Greek mythology here. He chases them in a labyrinth maze, falls for the Toro type of trick. They meet a bunch of course, suspects, red herrings, colorful characters, a lot of people while they're in ancient Greece, though they kind of give away who the Minotaur is with some funny foreshadowing. Like when Scooby and Shaggy go to a Greek bar, they see, oh no, it's the Minotaur, only it's like a normal guy sitting under like ox antlers. It's honestly kind of hilarious, but really heavy-handed foreshadowing. So the Minotaur turns out to be one of the art students in the area. An art student joined the Scooby Gang on a cruise because, once again, he's stealing a bunch of native artifacts. Stealing a bunch of statues, gold, rare collectibles, basically. He is an art student, so he realized that this art was very valuable, very expensive, and some of it made of solid gold. The art student joined them because he's volunteering to help a transportation ship, where he is using a bunch of olive crates to hide stolen loot, taking it back to the US, taking it back to his hometown, where he can profit off of it. Let's play ball. I remember that one. Yeah, basically, he was hiding a bunch of cargo in the olive barrels. Scooby and Shaggy figure this out because a lot of the treasures are dressed in olives, and wherever the Minotaur goes, like olive leftovers are kind of left behind, making Velma and Daphne piece together exactly who it is. It's kind of funny, though, the way they defeat him. Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy go back to the boat, hoping to get away from all this, only for the Minotaur to show up there because his cargo is there, where Scrappy and Scooby finally finally defeat a villain together using kind of the bullfighting trick. They use the Toro, use the blanket to distract him, and cause him to fall into the water. Unfortunately, the only reason he's not an S tier is because apparently the Minotaur can't swim. Once he falls like off a boat comedically, he's like stuck in the water, flailing for help, where the Scooby Gang show up promptly to arrest him. Unmask him, revealing that he was the art student who volunteered for this because he wanted to steal all those valuable art. Honestly, pretty interesting villain. I do like him. Love the Greek mythological creatures. Much better than the Centaur from What's New Scooby-Doo, that's for sure. I'm gonna put him onto A tier. Everyone knows to defeat a Minotaur is to use a red cloth or swipe at it away when it starts charging. The Dig and Save store is on Park Street in Madison, Wisconsin, by the way. Okay, I'm very far from there. Just follow the signs. Love you, Cat and Wolf. Sabrina Griffin. Help, save me. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah, honestly, his defeat is pretty comedic, which is why he's down a level, but I think he's pretty cool. Also, sweet dance moves. Yeah, Minotaur, definitely awesome. Alright, unfortunately, we're back into bad villain territory because we're on the final episode villains, where Scooby and Shaggy get kidnapped by mafiosos. Let me repeat that. Scooby and Shaggy get abducted by these two gang guys, these mobsters, who kidnap Scooby-Doo and Shaggy Rogers to sell them for ransom. Yeah, it's kind of weird, but apparently Scooby-Doo and Mystery Incorporated are famous inside the cartoon world, and these two guys see Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy on vacation in New York City, where, I kid you not, they abduct them and take them back to their secret motel warehouse or wherever to hold Shaggy and Scooby for ransom. They want $1 million. Dun, dun, dun. They want $1 million ransom paid to save Shaggy and Scooby. And it's up to Scrappy-Doo and his gang to help rescue them. So this is definitely one of the episodes where they got rid of Fred, Daphne, and Velma because they show up at the beginning and end of the episode. The Scooby Gang goes to New York, and Fred, Daphne, and Velma go their separate ways to enjoy vacation, while the plot happens to Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy. Scrappy wants to introduce the guys to his gang, and we meet these annoying spin-off characters. He meets like this snarky, sassy street dog, and this blind girl dog. She has like shaggy hair and can't see where she's going. The joke is she's blind as a bat. The Mafia sounds fun. What generic gangsters, not even ghost or zombie gangsters, but boring normal gangsters? Exactly. These two are basically normal criminals. We got like Discount Don Turtelli here and Discount Mad Thinker. They're basically tall smart guy and small dumb guy. They abduct Shaggy and Scooby and keep them like locked up in like a jigsaw room until the proper authorities can pay them $1 million. And it's up to Scrappy and his spin-off gang to help save the day, where half this episode is Shaggy and Scooby trying to escape only to fumble their attempts, and Scrappy and his gang getting into wacky antics trying to save his Uncle Scooby. And yeah, it's so painfully obvious. They wanted a spin-off with Scrappy and his two friends. They wanted Scrappy and his gang to have their own TV shows, their own wacky adventures, and basically they upstaged Scooby and Shaggy here. Scooby and Shaggy are held by these two guys, and basically that's all they are. They're two normal guys. They feel like minions to one of the villains rather than the main villains, and yeah, you bet they're also going on to F tier for sure. These two guys' mere existence marked a major turning point in the show that these would be the type of antagonists Scrappy and his gang would have to deal with. Scooby, Shaggy, and Scrappy would not be facing monsters as often as you'd think come the following seasons, and would encounter villains like this who are basically normal thugs trying to harm the Scooby Gang. Hi, Cat. Hey, Akira, you made it. What generic gangster? Yeah, that one. This doesn't even feel like Scooby-Doo. Like everything you're describing doesn't sound like Scooby-Doo. Exactly. This is like one of the worst episodes of the series because, one, they're trying to plug Scrappy his own spin-off show where Scrappy and these two other cartoony dogs are going on wacky mishaps, while Shaggy and Scooby are held hostage by these two gangsters. It is the most anti-Scooby-Doo thing I've ever seen. And spoilers, these two villains suck. Basically, this guy's the dumb guy. This guy's the smart, Weasley, sassy one. They hold Scooby and Shaggy hostage, fumble their attempts at escape because they're both unlucky idiots, and get comically humiliated all throughout the episode. They get beaten by Scrappy and his gang. This is a dragged out half-hour episode where basically Shaggy and Scooby fumble every time, and Scrappy and the dogs are trying to find them, while these two guys are basically just holding the duo hostage. So it's interesting, like Scrappy-Doo and Scooby-Doo in the timeline could be hinted in the cyber chase. Yeah, it's not Scooby-Doo anymore. It is just not Scooby-Doo. This is not a Scooby story. Shaggy and Scooby getting abducted and held captive feels like something you see on like Law and Order or like Ben 10. No, we're watching Scooby-Doo where Scrappy is trying to foil a kidnapping Home Alone style. It is so bizarre. And spoilers, yeah, these two gangsters both suck. They're very flat, very generic, and they get beaten by Scrappy and his goofy sidekicks. That is how much they suck. Rather than being kidnapped by a monster, but normal-looking criminals like Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo is about solving mysteries and encounters people in costumes. Why put these rejected Godfather gangster characters in? Like Cat, did you make Mechanic Cat and Pinky Dye based on Sledge and Poisandra? Pinky Dye is based on Poisandra. Mechanic Cat is not. He's based on the crypto villain. Alright, so, yeah, basically, they fight gangsters in Scooby-Doo. Shaggy and Scooby try to escape multiple times, only to fumble or have Scrappy and his gang accidentally foil their attempts at escape. Well, Scrappy and his two dogs beat these guys up. Shaggy and Scooby go flying in like a raft in a crazy chase scene, only to plow into him, and the gangsters are so tired from all this craziness that they surrender and turn themselves in. Really, really lame defeat. And yeah, basically we were supposed to plug a new show for Scrappy, and they kind of did, but this was a sign Scooby-Doo was not doing so well. We don't have monsters fighting Scooby and Shaggy anymore. We have normal, grounded in reality thugs. That is not a good sign, going on to F tier, the both of them. Why is Scooby-Doo not just make a new IP at this point? Because these don't scream Scooby-Doo. Well, they were trying to do a lot of new stuff with the Scooby saga, and some stuff was really out there. This is definitely one of them. This is a massive downgrade. Like, is that possible? Apparently it is. Alright, so now we're done with the first season villains. No, I'm not doing the Scooby and Scrappy shorts. Those are their own thing. We're gonna move into the Scrappy trilogy. Yes, we're talking about the movie villains, and a lot of these are massive upgrades. So, after the Scooby and Scrappy show got canceled, surprise, we got official movies with Shaggy and his infamous red shirt, with Scooby and Scrappy, just the trio, going on to wacky road trip adventures. And we're starting with the Boo Brothers. Very spooky, very kooky Boo Brothers, where we actually have 4 main villains. Yes, you heard that right. 4 main villains in the Boo Brothers. Shaggy inherits his dead uncle's mansion, his Uncle Beauregard, who has left him his entire fortune, the family jewels. But Shaggy has to undergo a mystery trying to find them, where a bunch of clues and Silent Hill notes are left behind to help clue him in as to where to find them, going on a big scavenger hunt across the entire mansion and all its land. However, they bump into a lot of ghosts and other antagonists. We have all the 4 main ones. Got Colonel Beauregard's ghost, the Skull Ghost, the Escaped Ape, and Billy Bob is even on here. Infamous red shirt. Oh, Shadow, don't you remember? This is the trilogy where they encounter like sort of real ghosts, but Shaggy got a redesign. He now has a red t-shirt and blue jeans. it was so bizarre seeing this, but I kind of got over it because one, the Cyber Chase parodies this look, and two, he did feel like Shaggy still. It's still Casey Kasem, but I'm not sure why they gave him like a red shirt. I guess it's to show you that this is not tied to like the main TV shows. It's like kind of new canon adventures. Snickers Family Jewels. These movies are peak nostalgia for me. Leave this place. And Kari Walgren as a hot granny mentor before the samurai mentor. Scooby-Doo meets the Boo Brothers is the origin of the angry skeleton meme, but it's in the opening, which is the only iconic thing about this movie. The opening theme was pretty good. So, if you don't know, Boo Brothers, I actually really like it. It is like one of my favorite Scooby-Doo movies. Controversial opinion, but I do think it's the peak of the Scrappy trilogy. I know, no disrespect towards Ghoul School fans, or for you reluctant werewolf fans, but I really like this one, and a lot of the villains are pretty fun. We'll start with the first one, the ghost of Colonel Beauregard, who, spoilers, is a real ghost, and yep, he's going on top of S tier. Leave this place! Go back! Leave this place! My brother Wolf and I jokingly call him Colonel Cobra because he sounds like Chris Latta, has that really shrill Cobra Commander / Starscream voice. It's kind of weird because it doesn't fit his character design, but yeah, this is the ghost of Shaggy's dead uncle, Colonel Beauregard, and we find out this guy was a real ghost. He's actually haunting his mansion, actively trying to murder Scooby and Shaggy and Scrappy. It's honestly pretty surreal we got a villain like this. The reluctant werewolf villains are hilarious. They are. We'll get to that soon. Zoinks, like you're me, and like you're me. Yeah, remember that? That's Red Shirt Shaggy, if you're still watching, Shadow. So, Cyber Chase version of Shaggy, yeah, that's him. Always love Ghoul School. In fact, I might celebrate its anniversary. You should, Saga. It is a pretty good movie. It is the peak of Scrappy as a character because of his puzzle solving in this movie. Yeah, so they mercifully gave Scrappy a complete personality shift. Now Scrappy was not the tough guy, Scrappy was the smart guy. Scrappy actually grew a brain, knew how to solve the mysteries, and did a lot of the mystery puzzle solving throughout this episode, putting the clues together, solving the riddles, helping the gang find their way. Scrappy did have some of his original personality, but one, Scrappy was actually competent in this movie, and two, Scrappy actually helped save the day numerous times. It really made me like Scrappy in this one. Anyways, the ghost of Colonel Beauregard, yeah, this guy is actively trying to kill his nephew and the dogs. I always love the scene where Farquaad is talking about his old mentor, his old boss, and while he's talking about how he's talking about his origin, he says, "Oh, don't worry, ghosts aren't real. Ghosts don't hurt anyone." And he like chucks a sword almost at Scooby's head. Kind of dark joke, but really hilarious. Yeah, this guy, he was a real ghost. We find out there's a mystery going on. Somebody else is trying to steal the family jewels, and we're led to believe that it's the main villain of the movie. No, he was just one of the antagonists. This guy was actually a supernatural being, and the twist ending reveals that, yeah, he was actually a real ghost. Pretty crazy. He like fights the Boo Brothers, chases them in the underground cave, chases them through the graveyard, has that really funny scene where he's chasing them on a bicycle. Yeah, this guy was actually menacing, very threatening, very entertaining villain, and the twist ending actually added a whole level of fear to the movie, because now when you rewatch it, you realize this guy was actually a supernatural being who is not only trying to kill the gang, but trying to murder his nephew Shaggy. Yeah, that's how insane he was. Definitely S tier. Also, he survived a fight with the Boo Brothers, so mad props there. Like R.I.P. Bonnie Tyler. Rest in peace. Colonel Beauregard, isn't that the same name of the rich guy from A Night of Fright is No Delight? No, I don't think that was him. If it was, then probably a generic name. Like why we get a hot girl simp for Shaggy and the father who has a gun. That was her brother. That was her brother, Billy Bob. Sorry I mentioned Dan to Dan in last stream since I called it Shonen with Yokai Rangers. Also today is Donkey Kong's birthday. Happy birthday, DK. Like why is it weird like the female vampire is really Daphne since I miss it? Catakaris, it's Spindly Johnny. I think peak Scrappy was in all 3 of these movies. I agree, because he was actually smart. Too bad these movies would be the last time Scrappy was given any respect. Yeah, tragically, Joseph, tragically. Why is it weird like the female vampire is really Daphne since I miss it? That would have been interesting, but no. My dad, Wallace Griffin, has a DVD collection with some of the Scooby-Doo DVDs, including Reluctant Werewolf on DVD. His DVD collection's big, almost towards the end of the shelf. Well, that is pretty impressive, Sabrina. Like, is he the ghost from the Headless Ghost? I think he was. Does he know Shaggy's his nephew? I can't remember. They never clarify it. Like, this guy, we see, this is the guy who owned the mansion. This is the guy who owns Beauregard Manor. He is Colonel Beauregard, and they do say he is Shaggy's uncle, but he never really regrets or has hesitation chasing after and trying to murder Shaggy and Scooby. I'm not sure if he knows Shaggy is his nephew. He never explains it. He just keeps shouting at him, "Leave this place! Leave this place!" That's basically his go-to dialogue. I love, he fights the Boo brothers at one point. Yeah, this guy was trying to murder his own nephew. It's not clear if he knew who Shaggy was or not, but yeah, it makes him very threatening. And the twist ending revealing that, yeah, he was actually a real ghost attacking the Scooby Gang adds a pretty good level of fear throughout the Boo brothers. Definitely an S-tier villain. Speaking of which, we have the Skull guy. Yep, here he is with his gun. The Skull Ghost, who will go on to S-tier too, but a bit lower. I'll put him below the Neon Phantom. Yep, here's the Skull Ghost, voiced by Artie Johnson. Very interesting, but stupid. I'm still kind of amazed Artie Johnson voiced in a lot of Scooby-Doo stuff. But yeah, here's the Skull Ghost. So, while the gang are up on the chimney trying to find the next clue, out of nowhere, this creepy skeleton jumps them, and he looks much scarier in the attack there. He's got like glowing red eyes, a demonic laugh, jumps them from the chimney, and nearly murders the Scooby Gang by knocking them off the roof. He is after the family jewels along with the Scooby Gang. That's basically his MO. He wants to steal the jewels. He's trying to interfere with their mystery solving, trying to beat them to the punch, trying to find the next clue and jewel before they do, trying to ruin Shaggy's attempts at rightfully gaining his family fortune. And yeah, I do think he's pretty cool. Like, it's another guy in a skull suit, and interesting design-wise. When we see him at first, the guy looks very supernatural, very creepy, and as the movie plays on, we get hints to who it is, and the Skull Ghost kind of becomes more and more fake as the movie carries on. And that was like a nice detail I really like. Early in the movie, you realize he kind of looks like a realistic walking skeleton, then halfway through he switches to obviously kind of a more cartoonish look, like there's a guy in a suit, he's got like all the black surrounding him now. It is a very interesting design choice. But yeah, the guy does kind of take himself out near the end. The guy finds out where the family jewels are near the end of the movie. The family jewels are in the fireplace, and this guy nearly murders Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy, traps them in a net, and sends them adrift in sea. Well, I should say a swamp, but yeah, basically sends them to their deaths, but the Boo brothers finally come through and save the day. The Boo brothers help save their sinking ship and take them back to the manor, where they confront the Skull Ghost, and hilarious scene, the Skull Ghost pulls out a gun and threatens to shoot them if they get in his way. It is so hardcore and so hilarious. Yeah, this is a Scooby movie where the ghost gives up and pulls out a gun threatening to cap them. Like, why does he look like what Skeletor's brother would be like? And yes, it is a toy collab. Oh, missed your comment there. Beauregard. Huh, wonder if he's related to them from Wonka. Yeah, that I remember. Leave this place. Leave this place. I checked Beauregard Sanders was a Confederate from Civil War colonel from A Night of Fright is No Delight. Okay, then, yeah, they did kind of recycle the character. Scrappy is not so bad. Heck, there are robots named after him in Robot Wars. Well, those are because scrap is something you call metal. Like, when are we gonna have Scooby-Doo meets the Genie? Oh, you're talking about the new Scooby-Doo movies? Yeah, I'm still watching those. Yeah, look forward to that tier list, folks. I am still watching them. Unfortunately, yeah, it's gonna take me time, alright? They're like hour-long episodes. I am halfway through. I watched the Davy Jones ones recently. Got a lot of positives and negative things to say, so I hope you show up for that tier list, Shadow. The most respect Scrappy was given after this was in the episode Scooby Natural, and the least disrespect he was given was in the 13 Ghosts movie, where he was mentioned by Flim Flam. They brought Flim Flam back, but not Scrappy in that movie. Also, fun fact, Transformers makes the Mystery Machine as a Transformer, and Scooby Snacks as Scooby Transformer. Okay, pretty cool. JonTron, I got a bone to pick with you. Okay, so it's kind of funny that this ghost pulls out a gun, threatens to shoot them, but the ghost takes himself out. He activates the vault for the family jewels, and apparently it's a slot machine. He wins the jewels and they all crush him. There's like so much money, gems, coins, and whatever. They come flooding out of the chimney and they basically drown him. He loses his pistol and gets captured by himself. Really lame defeat, honestly. But the Skull Ghost is also the one villain in this who's a guy in a mask. Who is the Skull Ghost? The sheriff. But he's not actually a sheriff. He's the twin brother of the real sheriff. So it's kind of a hilarious, overly complex mystery, but we meet like this fat, bald Southern sheriff guy who pretends to be the patrol unit around the Beauregard mansion. It turns out this guy is the real sheriff's evil twin brother who identity thefted him and stole a squad car to pose as a police officer because he's investigating the area to find the family jewels. The sheriff was actually the bad guy, and he wanted to steal Shaggy's family fortune for himself. He became a ghost when Shaggy arrived to try to scare the high-profile coward away from his own home and inheritance. Yeah, basically, it is a pretty neat twist, I will say. But yeah, the real sheriff shows up, and you can tell it's the real one because he has a badass mustache. Yep, my evil twin brother was a fake ghost. I knew this treasure was here. I knew it. I almost had it. Yeah, he gets arrested by his brother, and hilariously, they reuse the same voice actor. The real sheriff was actually a nice police officer. He shows up to help save the day, and that's kind of the end of it. Pretty interesting twist, and I will say, I was not expecting a masked villain at all. It's pretty fun looking back that every time you see a silhouette, it does kind of look like the sheriff now that you squint harder at it. Like, there's like a creepy shadow in the back, and the shadow has like his sheriff hat or is overweight. Really neat design choice. Skeletor's brother. This movie not only has a real ghost, but also fake ghosts at the same time. Yep, now that feels like Scooby-Doo. Yeah, makes this movie closest to classic Scooby-Doo if you were wearing which three movies is closer to classic Scooby-Doo. Honestly, I do think Boo Brothers is close to the Scooby formula. Don't get me wrong, Ghoul School and Reluctant Werewolf are good too, but this one feels like it was still tied to the franchise's roots, which is why it won major points with me. Like, it's funny, skeleton, yeah. Yeah, they did kind of throw you off too, because the skeleton has Artie Johnson voicing him in his masked form, and the sheriff has a really distinct southern drawl voice. They do show it was a completely different voice actor for both. And now Xbox wants to remove physical games. Yeah, they could go screw themselves. Pretty rare to see a Scooby villain armed with a gun. I'm surprised that Redbeard and his crew don't use guns. I was surprised by that too. Imagine if every Scooby-Doo villain who had enough pulls an actual gun out of anger. Angry at his last attempt. Yeah, that would be pretty fun. I love this Scooby movie. Skull Ghost definitely wins points for that. Yeah, these movies were my main exposure to Scrappy, so I was confused when I found out how hated he was. Okay, so the movies made Scrappy better. The shows are where Scrappy sucks. Specifically, the first season with the first voice actor. It was a terrible first impression. I will say, the new Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo Mysteries is a good show. Scrappy improved there, but unfortunately, it was one of those things where the damage was done, and people were not liking the whole new show direction. Scrappy was just kind of an omen to that change. But in the movie, Scrappy is a very likable character. Scrappy versus Gun, like the evil twin joke. Yeah, pretty funny. Shaggy, Sheriff, you sound different. Yeah, pretty fun foreshadowing, right? I wonder if JonTron got the joke from this movie with the skeleton with his gun. And then I pulled out my gun. Also, I did a TN of Ira Shiratori versus Daphne Blake for Death Battle. Oh, okay, I'd love to see it. And Jubilee and Marvel Rivals, still waiting for She-Hulk. Who would She-Hulk fight, though? I would think Tiny from Ben 10, that would be a pretty funny square-off. The funniest part is that the good sheriff mentions how his bad brother always likes to impersonate him, and their conversation still comes off as bickering siblings. Yeah, I really like that. I love Boo Brothers. I don't care what anyone says. It is a fun movie. It is so hilarious. Made my top 10 best horror comedies, and I stand by that. Skull Ghost definitely S tier. Yeah, beats Witch's Ghost to the double twist. It kind of did. It kind of did. When are you going to review Rail Riders, Power Rangers parody? I gotta see it first. Also, Miraculous Season 6 finale is releasing in August. Oh, that's still a long way. Season 7 is coming in September. Okay, good. And I'm going to regret it. Yeah, we all are. My whole family loves trains because once a year my dad takes us to the railroad show at the Energy Center in Madison, Wisconsin. My favorite episode from Are You Afraid of the Dark is The Tale of the Train Magic. Did an awesome review of that. Go check it out then. Not only Xbox, but PlayStation. Yeah, PlayStation was the big one. They want to remove physical games. Tell them no and give them the finger. I'm sailing the 7 seas with my pirate hat on, boycotting PlayStation, starting with canceling my PlayStation Plus online. Good for you, Joseph. Tick, 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 tock. Like why Marvel Rivals doesn't get She-Hulk or Tigra. They really should, but they're profiting off the more mainstream characters. Alright, anyways, Skull Ghost, S tier, really awesome. Now next is the Escaped Ape. So, this guy's technically not evil, but he is definitely an antagonist in this movie. He got the Escaped Ape, and believe it or not, he's also going on to S tier. This guy is hilarious. The ape makes me laugh so much. Basically, the ape is a big child. He wants to play with Scooby and Shaggy, not realizing how dangerous he really is. The Escaped Ape is actually a real ape. Yeah, we do have another quote-unquote real monster. A circus train was derailed at the beginning of the movie, and all the animals were called for except for a giant circus ape. And apparently this ape has the ability to talk and interact with people, actually has kind of human feelings. Very sapient ape. The ape ambushes Shaggy and Scooby on the road, and honestly the first scary scene of the true adventure. We see like a jump scare of the ape. I'm still curious how Shaggy and Scrappy completely missed the ape screaming at them before it went out of the road. But yeah, the ape wants to follow Scooby-Doo and pet him. Kind of weird. I like to joke with my brother Wolf that the ape might be attracted to Scooby because he keeps going for him, like hugging him and cuddling him. It's just so weird, but so hilarious. Yeah, the ape wants to be with Scooby-Doo and Shaggy, and it keeps following them, has a lot of these funny, scary faces, is actually kind of an innocent character, but has a very scary, ferocious appearance, and it leads to so many funny moments. I can't help it, but yeah, I really love the scenes with the ape. The voice actor's definitely having the time of his life. There's that really creepy scene where they're trapped in like an open tomb, and the gorilla like sees Shaggy and Scooby there. Ah, Scooby has that really weird rape face going on. You don't have to shoot him off, Sheriff. He's stuffed. I don't care how much he's eaten. No, Sheriff, this is Bebo. Colonel Beauregard bagged him and tagged him long before. He's no longer among the living. Yeah, so conveniently, Colonel Beauregard has a dead gorilla in his trophy display, and according to the butler Farquaad, he claims that the ghost of this ape Colonel Beauregard killed also haunts the mansion. He's a ghost ape. And it's kind of funny because, yeah, the ape looks exactly like the circus ape, leading to a lot of confusion and funny scenes. Scooby thinks it's the ghost of the dead ape that the Colonel killed. He has like a taxidermized ape trophy in like his living room, and it does look suspiciously like this ape. It leads to a lot of funny scenes where Scooby sees both apes at the same time, where Scooby's talking to him. I love using this clip. You see, he's still here. He's a ghost. A ghost? A ghost? That's right, a ghost. Yeah, I've used that clip a few times. But yeah, the ape basically wants to play with the guys. It's really a big kid. It doesn't really understand too much what's going on and leads to a lot of funny interactions. The ape also terrifies Billy Bob when he pisses it off. There's like so many characters trying to harass or kill or annoy the Scooby Gang. The ape is definitely one of them. I don't think the ape is a ghost. No, he's not. It's a real gorilla. That's basically the whole thing. It's a real gorilla. This gorilla actually did escape from the zoo. The gorilla is like chasing and tormenting the guys. Basically he wants to play with Shaggy and Scooby. And we find out, oh, the ape is actually a good guy. The ape's actually just a big kid. It wants to have fun. Scrappy makes a deal with the ape to finally get him off their back, where he allows him to play with the Headless Horseman's horse. They find the Headless Horseman is actually a dummy, and there's a mechanical horse that follows remote control. There's like levers that activate it, and the guys bring the animatronic to the ape, and he stops harassing them and gives them the next clue and the family jewels they found, while the ape gets to play horsey, and he's having so much fun. Definitely his redemption arc here. Yeah, and basically near the final act of the movie, the ape subplot is actually one of the few that gets resolved. He calls the sheriff, tells him about the escaped ape, and we see the skull ghost like rips the phone line out before he can finish telling them where they are. Really interesting character, but man, this guy just so funny, so intimidating. He makes me laugh, he can scare you, has super strength, and he even beats up Billy Bob at one point. Definitely S tier. A real gorilla? Huh? Yeah, Sandy. Gorilla. Oh, Scooby Senpai. So much better than the ape man in Where Are You? Yeah, because this ape actually has humor to him. Yeah, he's not a ghost. This is a real ape. They try to trick you into thinking he's a ghost, hinting that there's some haunted antics happening here. I'm not sure why, especially because the Boo brothers are real ghosts. But yeah, they pretend that this ape is another ghost, so the gang is kind of pressured into calling the Boo brothers. I watched your review of the Tale of Train Magic 3 or 5 times, and I loved it. Thank you, Sabrina. The villain is super creepy, 100%. Yeah, he was. The ape isn't really that scary. Not scary, Blue Thunder, but he is definitely hilarious. That's why he wins lots of points. He is so funny. I'll tell you what, I'll put him underneath the Snake and the Neon Phantom then. Like why a gorilla escaped the train. It was a circus train. They're circus animals. The ape performs at a circus at a big top. Basically, they were transporting their animals on the railway, and once it got derailed, the animals ran loose. One of them being the escaped ape, and that's why he's on the loose near the mansion. Catch them on your guys' comments. A real gorilla? How's there a gorilla underwater in the first place? And the sheriff knows the horse is mechanical. More good foreshadowing. Yeah, he's like telling them, push the button, push the button. Like, they kind of throw you off because he can clearly see it, so it makes you think, oh, did he see it? Or how did he know how to turn it off? Did he actually own the mechanical horse? That's actually pretty good foreshadowing, especially because, like, when the shot is happening, you can see Scooby's paws are near the buttons and levers when he's being chased. Makes you think, oh, did he come up with that on the spot, or did he always know they were there? Fun fact, Japan, white cats are the luckiest cats of fortune. Yes, I am, Akira. Could we use the gorilla clip for a future review? Definitely will, Akira, but gotta find the right context. Is he scarier than Harambe the gorilla or King Kong? No, definitely not. We got a gorilla for sale. We got gorilla for sale. Got gorilla for sale. Oh, gee, what I meant. Fun fact, Frank Welker, the voice of Fred, is also the voice of the gorilla in the SpongeBob episode. Yeah, he was, and I recognize D. Bradley Baker as the zebra. Well, you see, George, they're on to us! And a zebra shows up. Let's get out of here! And they ride off into the sun. Really classic ending. Sandy, it's a real gorilla, put everyone in a bag, and goes crazy before realizing he's underwater and he rides a horse. It was a zebra. I know they're part horse, but yeah. Okay, so anyways, I think the escaped ape is pretty funny, and he has a really nice redemption arc. He stops being mean to the guys and they all become best friends. Ape is definitely a laugh riot, gone into S tier for sure. And we get our last antagonist from Boo Brothers, Billy Bob. Oh yeah, remember Billy Bob? So, Shaggy gets harassed by this sexy hillbilly girl, Sadie. She's got a crush on Shaggy and wants to go out with him, but her brother Billy Bob is a part of their rival family, and the family has had a family feud with the Beauregard family for over 155 years, where they try to kill each other, and Billy Bob obsessively hunts down and tries to shoot Scooby and Shaggy. It's so bizarre, but it's so funny and definitely packs some good suspense. Billy Bob is basically this psychotic redneck guy who lives out in the swamplands, and he wants to murder Shaggy because, one, Shaggy and his sister are trying to elope, and two, they have a family rivalry, which apparently is still lasting all these years later, when Shaggy doesn't even know who the heck he is, and he's like chasing them around with his old-fashioned musket, getting into a lot of Looney Tunes antics. Another funny villain, but Billy Bob, I'm gonna put on to 8 here. It's so hilarious that we have a villain like this, a psychotic redneck with a hate boner for Shaggy's family, and trying to hunt down and shoot Scooby-Doo and Shaggy. How do you come up with an idea like that? Hey boys, we got us another Beauregard! Beauregard! And a bunch of like rednecks are trying to shoot them. It's just so crazy we have a Scooby film with this. Hey, are you pulling my leg? Like, is this McGucket Grandpa? Kind of. Like Boomstick from Death Battle? Kind of. Like, I wonder if Daphne Blake can be scaled on Scooby-Doo scaling or not. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Okay, so I won't lie, I'm not counting his sister Sadie as a villain or a monster because, well, Sadie actually does try helping the Scooby Gang here, and she's not really a villain, more so a nuisance. Sadie is trying to hook up and elope with Shaggy. She develops an instant crush on him rather fast, and Shaggy is not interested. Sadie is the first girl gooner. They call her Goonie Girl at one point, so yeah, she crushes hard on Shaggy, and technically she kind of protects them from time to time from her brother. Sadie has like taken muscle courses, completely breaks her brother's guns from time to time, always pushes him out of the way before he can shoot or snipe Shaggy out. Yeah, Sadie, not really a villain. Billy Bob definitely is because, well, he's trying to shoot Shaggy and Scooby dead. Definitely earns him a spot on the monsters tier list. I remember that scene where he and the ape and several of the ghosts are behind them and switching positions. Oh yeah, where Billy Bob's trying to chase him, then Sadie's trying to chase him, and then the skull ghost comes out and scares Billy Bob at one point. Billy Bob definitely suffers a lot of comeuppance. I'm gonna put him on to 8 here. He's not really scary per se, but he's like one of the laughably evil cartoon villains, along with the escaped ape. It's kind of funny that he gets scared stupid by the skull ghost, then gets terrified by the escaped ape. He accidentally shoots the gorilla like twice, and the ape comically beats him up, humiliates him, breaks his gun. Like, how many guns does this guy own? Like, his sister breaks a gun, the ape breaks a gun, he breaks a gun trying to chase Shaggy and Scooby at one point. He's got like 50 different old school muskets with him. Honestly, this villain's mere existence wins him a ton of points because it's crazy. We got crazy gun-toting redneck who wants to kill Scooby and Shaggy. Going on to 8 here for sure. So, his subplot kind of wraps up abruptly. I think he like last disappears when like the ape comically humiliates him. He tries to escape the ape and falls over like a cliffside getting dunked in a swamp. And that's like the last time we ever see him. Like, we never see him or Sadie ever again. But yeah, Billy Bob comically humiliated, and honestly, that's kind of what he deserves in the end. Going on to 8 here. Sadie's literal final scene is bending Billy's gun and walking off. It's like she was saying, well, I've done my part in the movie. Well, she does say, don't worry, Shaggy, I'll save you. His sister keeps sabotaging his attempts to kill them. Billy Bob, like, has him cornered in a well, and Sadie apparently is stronger than Bender because she bends the gun in his face and basically kills her brother then and there. That should have killed him, but no, he keeps coming back like Master Shake. Yeah, that's Sadie's last part in the movie, and she never sees Shaggy ever again. Not even to wave him goodbye or whatever. It's kind of abrupt. It's weird that we even had these characters because it felt like they were a bit last-minute additions, but pretty funny. Between her and Vanapyra, these movies really wanted to make Shaggy a stud for some reason. Yeah, we still gotta do a tier list on all of Shaggy's love interests. I was gonna do that on Valentine's Day, but of course something came up. The Hunchback. Next one is Gentleman, and one talks like Webby the Cave Duck, or Webba the Cave Duck from DuckTales. Victor Corral, who provided the voice for Southern Country Girl Sadie Mae Scroggins, that's her name, in the 87 film Boo Brothers. Reading all the characters you're posting. Sorry, catch up on comments, guys. I saw Superboy Prime was in Death Battle. We don't have Farquaad on here, so sorry if you guys were hoping to see the Butler on here, but Farquaad, I also don't really count as a villain because, well, he served the Colonel loyally, and he's more so butthurt that he was left nothing in his will. He gets, like, his paws on one family jewel after attacking Scrappy, and Shaggy actually decides to let him have it. It's like one gem when they're after the whole fortune. It kind of makes you sad for Farquaad. I don't really count him as a villain, just kind of another nuisance character like Sadie. Billy Bob is not a monster, by the way. Well, he does want to shoot and kill people, Blue Thunder. She was in Darkwing Duck as Dr. Beatrice Brute. Yeah, the first yandere anime girl, especially in the West. Yeah, it's kind of funny. The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy as the dog show judge. Oh, she was in that. I didn't know that. And the kangaroo waitress in Scooby-Doo and the 13 Ghosts cartoon. I'll have to rewatch that. Like, yeah, Sadie does kind of look like a southern version of Harley Quinn. Kind of funny design. I guess some people find that look cute, Akira. You're so flushed. I can't help it. Every time he talks, he flushes everything. Shagzilla versus Genghis Kong. Oh no, not GK. Okay. I'm surprised that Billy Bob didn't become a red herring. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I guess he was kind of there to be to be like a suspect, a character, but he ended up being kind of a throwaway character. Pretty fun villain, I will say. I'm gonna put him to A tier regardless. One of the better human antagonists. I've kind of wondered what would happen if Shoogie would ever make a comeback in Scooby Media. Talking about Googie from Reluctant Werewolf. My sister is late to the stream. That's okay, we got a few more villains. Alright, so Boo Brothers is awesome, has a lot of good villains, but now let's move on to the Ghoul School. Alright, we got Revolta and the Grim Creeper on here. So, I do like Ghoul School. I do think it's an underrated classic. I love Boo Brothers a bit more, but I won't deny this movie's also pretty good. We'll start with Revolta, who is technically the true main antagonist of the Ghoul School. Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy get jobs as gym teachers. They become gym teachers and are traveling to the one school that would hire them, which of course is a monster girl school. Yeah, apparently Shaggy and Scooby are not good at reading. They find out they signed up for a monster school in dire need of educators, and when they show up, they find out they're teaching a bunch of monster girls. The Ghoul School is a pretty good movie, though I will warn you, if you hate puns and play on words, you will be annoyed by 90% of the dialogue in this movie. Yeah, my brother Wolf kind of musters through it, but there's a lot of puns, a lot of one-liners, that type of humor. It doesn't really irritate me because the movie's just dumb fun. I will say much better at it than Batman and Robin, but yeah, if you don't like puns especially, or Addams Family style humor, you might not click with this film. But here's our main villain, Revolta. Revolta is a supernatural Spider-Woman witch who wants to abduct the Ghoul Girls to brainwash into her super soldiers to take over the world. Of course. Yeah, that is basically the plot. It's a child abductor who wants to brainwash these monster girls to be her badass super soldiers. She's made a special serum that will brainwash them, turn them evil, where the monster girls won't be nice girls anymore. They'll be her evil minions who will do her bidding and heavily implied to basically cause a bunch of chaos, horrors, and kill people. That's basically your plan, and I would say Revolta's not a bad villain, but she's never been one of my favorites. I'm gonna put her onto definitely high A tier. You gotta move these around. Yeah, she wants to make the monsters follow her, to revoltize them. The actress playing her, definitely having the time of her life. Not a big fan of her design. She looks like basically your supernatural witch. You can't see, but she does have 4 arms beneath her. I think 6 arms, maybe. She's basically kind of a Spider-Woman witch. She has like a creepy castle, creepy minions, has her spider bat minions, kind of kind of like a prototype Rita Repulsa the more I think about it. Honestly, not the worst villain ever, but I do not think she is as iconic as other people argue. Ghoul School is a good movie, but the villain is basically decent. She is very threatening, she's ominous, she spends kind of too much time being a Power Ranger villain. She's hiding in her throne room, spying upon the girls for at least like one or 2/3 of the movie. We establish her that she's been trying to capture these girls. It's unknown if the Ghoul Girls even knew she existed, which kind of made me kind of confused, because do the Monster Girls know this witch, like, lives in their neighborhood or not? It wasn't the only one. The Beetlejuice cartoon used lots of puns. That it did. Ruta Lee as Revolta. Yeah, OKKO made the Ghoul Girls canon. Revolta, the Witch of the Web. Yeah, I like Ghoul School too. OKKO made it canon. Revolta versus Rita Repulsa. The Ghoul School is the most underrated Scooby-Doo movie. Also, besides OKKO, I don't want to see a sequel because look at how they ruined Zombie Island. Yeah, they did. I'm kind of terrified they might make a sequel to Ghoul School now, but with modern animation and the Ghoul Girls would look like girls modern day. Basically, excuses for fugly designs. I don't want to see Phantasm with the half-shaved haircut. I read that one. Rita Repulsa, Magic Spider Bat, make my monsters grow. Toss the spider bats. Hey Cat, have you watched Archie's Weird Mysteries before? No, I have not, Sabrina. If you haven't, you gotta watch it. It's super weird and fun at the same time. Okay, I might give it a try. I obey only Revolta. Yeah, definitely why she wins points. Revolta actually does succeed in picking off the Monster Girls one by one. Well, mostly her spider bats do all the bidding. She's just in the control room. She has her partner in crime, the Grim Creeper here. We'll get to him right after. But Revolta, honestly not that bad a villain. She wants to basically abduct children, brainwash them into her super soldiers. She's like in her throne room casting spells, casting magic. Though, why she's not an S tier, she is nothing without her wand. After like the wand gets destroyed in the climax by Elsa, that's her name. Elsa Frankenstein destroys the wand and she loses all her power. Basically, that was like the only thing that gave her her high stats. And yeah, that is kind of lame. And two, kind of a severe lack of screen time. Revolta and Grim Creeper are off screen, not doing much for at least 2/3 of the movie until she mesmerizes Shaggy to take the girls out to a field trip at the Barren Bog. They go to like basically a swampland where they can split, divide, and conquer the Ghoul Girls. And yeah, Revolta brainwashes the girls, has them obey her. I obey only Revolta. Yes, Revolta! I will obey! All the girls get picked off, sniped one by one, taken to their castle against their will, but she needs to alter their personalities, where basically it's a final countdown. Scooby, Shaggy, Scrappy, and Matches the Dragon infiltrate the castle, wacky antics, wacky chase scene, and have a big epic boss fight against Revolta. They snap a few of the girls out of the brainwashing, not all apparently. They like leave Phantasm, poor girl stuck in that chair in the brainwashing room. But yeah, they start snapping the girls out, they destroy Revolta's magic, and Revolta comedically dies. They set the castle on fire after destroying her wand because the wand was that powerful. Her entire fortress is falling apart, and she and Grim Creeper try getting away only to literally burn to death in smoke and fall to their deaths. Yeah, I kind of joke with Wolf that, oh yeah, Revolta and Grim Creeper are absolutely dead from that, but that's kind of the end of her. I obey only Revolta. She's in the Twilight Zone episode as Flora in A Short Drink from a Certain Fountain. Wow, one of the episodes we haven't talked about yet. Why didn't they get Barbara Goodson to play Revolta? I guess she wasn't famous yet. Power Rangers did come a little after this movie's time. I always wonder how these monsters reproduce. Some of them don't even have blood, some of them lose parts, etc. Yeah, Phantasm's basically a ghost, and technically Elsa and Tannis are both, you know, undead. Sorry, got a text. Alright. getting back to it. Yeah, because 2 of these girls are dead. I guess 3 if you count Sabella, the sexy vampire underage girl. I will capture the monster girl as my queen. I always wondered, I read that one. Like, give it a feel of Turbo Granny voice. Pat Music was Elsa Frankenstein. Yeah, she's a pretty good voice actress. Though, I honestly, first time I saw this, I kind of confused Elsa for a boy because she has, like, the most masculine voice of the girls. I apologize to my Elsa fans, but yeah, it was kind of weird. Also, why didn't she try to brainwash the ghoul girl's parents, given they were there? They do explain in the movie, she doesn't go after their parents because they're weaker. They're getting older. They're not as strong as the girls. The girls are basically fresh minds, fresh children to corrupt. They'll grow up to be even stronger than they are. We do see this because Count Dracula is now nicer. The mummy can't stand the rain because his rags aren't waterproof. Basically, she sees them as useless, tired old guys who aren't as strong as they used to be. They're not good monsters anymore. She wants the next generation. Part of me wants to see Fred, Daphne, and Velma interact with the Grimwood girls. That would be cool, but I'm afraid they'd screw it up. And I'll send out the Hypno Spider monsters. Yeah, that would have been so useful doing that without the field trip, but whatever. Like, remember Winnie says, hello, like, goodbye. The great scene. She's no Maleficent, right? And why is Godzilla's son at the girls in the end? Because they're referencing other monsters. Now you got new students, and we see the creature of the Black Lagoon and his kid, Godzilla and his daughter, and I think like a weird, like, alien-looking monster. Kind of looked like a scroll, but yeah, basically new monsters, and they're all references to other horror movie characters. It's funny that Godzilla sent his girl to ghoul school, though. That they would make all of the events in Ghoul School, like the monster magic, to be fake and have Velma point out everything is special effects and the girls are in costumes. Not the usual, it's not real. Yeah, I would not want to see that either. And Patrick and Music played Mona Lisa in the G1 TMNT. If they were doing a bad Ghoul sequel, yeah, they would make it bad. Oh, she was Janine in Extreme Ghostbusters. I did not know that. And Haru's mom in Avatar: Last Airbender. Oh, gotta watch that again. And Jimmy's mom, okay, in Static Shock. Remember when women villains can be evil without a 20 to 30 minute tragic backstory? Yes, they were, Tails. Miss villains like Revolta. Next, we'll bump off the Grim Creeper, who is a lot more pathetic. He's going on to low B tier. Okay, so I'm sorry if I offend Grim Creeper fans, but this guy, basically comedic minion, he's this disturbing Cyclops plant monster who does everything Revolta commands, and basically he's the guy who gets beaten up comedically by the badass girls or matches the dragon. Grim Creeper is Revolta's sidekick and her right-hand monster man. He's basically helping his master complete her plan, chasing the heroes, attacking the girls. He does successfully trap Winnie, so he like leads her to the hypno spider bats or whatever. He shows that he does have an intimidation factor. He like takes a werewolf slash from her, showing that he can take a lot of damage. Unfortunately, he loses a lot of points because, yeah, he is the goofy comic relief minion, and he gets scared by matches like 3 times in this movie. Honestly, kind of embarrassing. Thundercats 2012 as Aldo. Ooh, cool. Hi, Cat. What did I miss? I'm sorry for leaving the last stream so early. That's okay, Bat Kid. I know we all have lives outside of YouTube. Did you know that Hanna-Barbera had a similar plot to an obscure cartoon called Drac Pack? Yeah, my friend Emily has been trying to tell me about that. Emily says it was a good cartoon and hopes I review it one day. Not sure I will because I can't seem to find it. Marilyn Truffler was Winnie. Yeah, she was pretty good too. Unfortunately, Tanis and Wendy's voice actresses were the ones who passed away. Recently, Russie Taylor also passed away. She was Phantasm. Love Phantasma. She's my favorite ghoul girl. Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends as Bonnie. I grew up on Scooby-Doo reruns, but never watched the 13 Ghosts or the Scrappy Show. That's okay, we took out most of those. We're on the Scrappy trilogy right now. Grim Creeper, honestly, kind of a basic villain. I like his design, but basically he just gets humiliated, duped, burned alive by matches, and he dies at the end alongside Revolta. Yeah, definitely an okay minion character. I'm gonna put him in a B tier, but his goofiness does cost him a lot of points. Speaking of which, we're finally on the final Scrappy-Doo era movie, Reluctant Werewolf. Next, we'll bump off Dracula. Who forgot that Shaggy helped save his little girl? But he's going on to S tier because of course he is. Yeah, I'll put him under the Snake Demon because I think the snake is just cooler. But here he is, folks. Here's Dracula, completely retconned as a villain for the final Scrappy movie. It's kind of funny because they do give him the exact same voice actor and sort of a similar design. In Ghoul School, he was like purple for some reason to match Sibella. Now he's like a decaying gray color. Dracula is hosting a monster race, and whoever wins it will become the ultimate monster, win a great trophy, and win whatever their heart desires. But there's one problem: he needs a werewolf. He has every monster in the universe except for a wolfman to represent the werewolf crowd. And so he finds out, get this, Shaggy is actually a pro champion race car driver in this movie. Yes, I call BS on this too, but for the sake of plot, we'll allow it. Shaggy is actually a professional race car driver in this film. We meet his girlfriend, Googie, voiced by BJ Ward before she became Velma. Pretty funny that she dated Shaggy in a movie. But yeah, Shaggy is actually a pro NASCAR driver. They try to get him to join their race by turning him into a reluctant werewolf. Oh, that's why they call it that. Yeah, basically, they recruit Shaggy. A lot of the movie is, first off, you have like a half hour of goofy antics. They try to make Shaggy a permanent werewolf, chase him around, the hunch bunch acts doofy, goof off, get comedically foiled. They finally get him to join the drag race, and Dracula says, I can turn you back human if you join the race. He eventually threatens him into doing it, but Shaggy finally concedes. He agrees to race, and if he wins first place, he turns him back into a human, leading to the wacky races but with monsters. Dracula is hilarious. Yes, he is. Dracula is so funny in this movie. They make him a goofy villain too, but he's so enjoyable and very quotable. I do like his snarky comments at basically Dracula feels like he's surrounded by idiots and is not afraid to riff them, torment them, mock them to their faces. He's kind of like Skeletor in a way. And I love some of his quotes, like when he's watching Shaggy and Scooby get their race car in trouble. I'm such a dirty guy. I have to use that clip someday. He's trying to have Shaggy lose the race. He does not want to give Shaggy back his humanity. Basically keep him as a slave for the rest of his life in his werewolf form. So he has the hunch bunch do his bidding while he occasionally gets his hands dirty. Dracula is a lot more of a hands-on villain, especially next to Revolta. He's constantly getting in the way, constantly scheming against them, having the hunch bunch do his bidding from time to time, and as we see, he's not afraid to actually fight the werewolf himself, chasing them in his cool Dracula plane. This guy is hilarious. He is just so entertaining, so threatening at times, and yeah, definitely made for a decent antagonist for such a goofy premise. As why not Daphne Blake, as she was a werewolf in the 13 Ghosts? Yeah, I know she was, but I guess Shaggy was more marketable. I remember the Hanna-Barbera Olympic Games. I even have the DVDs. Yeah, the Laugh Olympics. I used to watch those too. I had them on VHS though. I'm surprised none of the monster racers are on this tier list. Okay, Joseph, so I will point out I do not have the other monster racers because, one, they do not get too much character or screen time, and two, I don't really count them as villains. The monsters don't have anything against Shaggy and Scooby. They are jerks, but they're competitors. They're just rivals. They don't really want to kill Shaggy and Scooby, they just want to win the race. I know it's kind of a controversial opinion, but I do not count the other racers as basically villains or enemies against Scooby-Doo. They just want to compete in this race and will do anything to win. Yeah, sometimes they they cross over the line. They enter into some dark territory. They do try to kill Shaggy, but honestly, we see that they're actually pretty nice and chill. A special mention going to the party scene where they're having like the monster mash party, and all the monsters are like getting down, being nice to each other, and even invite Shaggy and the guys to join them. Like even the Witch Sisters dance with Scooby and Scrappy. It's kind of why I don't count them. They actually seem like they're pretty chill and pretty nice. They're just monsters, but they're not monsters. They're not evil. Catch up with your guys' comments. Even GK. Well, GK doesn't really count. He's just like a mindless beast. Shaggy actually had balls to refuse the race even when his life was being threatened. Yeah, he did. Shaggy is actually a Giga Chad in this film. Yeah, I gotta ask, are the other monsters really evil? I mean, we see Mr. Bone Jangles is actually pretty chill with them. Like, hey, how'd you get here so fast? Oh, we took a shortcut, guy. There's no rules. You can do anything you want. Nobody's gonna punish you. And that kind of gives Shaggy and Scooby an idea how to win the race. Yeah, we see they don't really have anything against each other. They're just kind of competitors. They're jocks. They're rivals. They don't really want to hurt anyone and don't really get into a fight when Shaggy wins the race. They accept their losses when GK ruins everything. But yeah, I don't really think they're antagonists, not like Dracula and the Hunch Bunch. Dracula and the Hunch Bunch are the primary villains of this movie. Speaking of which, the Hunch Bunch, going into A tier. I'll put them right next to Revolta. These are the Hunch Bunch, Dracula's evil hunchback monster minions, played by Frank Welker and a young Rob Paulsen, and they are pretty funny. Once again, comedic villains. They're the scariest monster servants to ever help Dracula, and we see they're anything but. They get comically humiliated, hurt themselves, get boiled in oil. No, master, not oil. We have, their names are Brunch and Crunch. Crunch is the idiot, kind of like a Tasmanian devil type of character. You can't understand what he's saying. He has like a speech impediment and he's the dumb one, while Brunch is the evil genius who thinks he's smarter than he actually is, and both of them suffer a lot of wacky antics, kind of Pinky and the Brain-esque. It's kind of funny because Rob Paulsen plays the smart, abusive one instead of the idiot, which would be a complete career shift when he plays Pinky and Pinky and the Brain. Hamilton Camp is Dracula. Shaggy? What kind of a name for a werewolf is Shaggy? Really funny. Here's my dad's favorite part of Reluctant Werewolf. Oh, Crunchy and Brunchy, I have a job for you. Likewise, it's funny, like no Invisible Man or Headless Horsewoman or a man or Spider Girl. Yeah, that is kind of weird. They could have had other monsters, but I guess they had enough. They have witches, a skeleton guy, Swamp Thing, Dragonfly, which I don't think is really mainstream. Like, it was like Vincent Price's The Fly, but with a dragon body. I did mention the Frankensteins, and yeah, basically a bunch of iconic Universal monsters. The Mummy didn't really do anything. That kind of disappointed me. Read that one. Okay, caught up. Not GK. Yeah, sorry, GK didn't make the tier list. He shows up at like the end of the movie and he's just a generic boss fight. The Hunch Bunch and Dracula are kind of all over the plot. We're monsters, but we're not monsters. Yeah, exactly. TMNT as Joko, Kevin Tyler, Dwayne. Oh no, not GK. I also don't have Vanapyra. I know a lot of my friends really like her, but again, she wasn't really evil. Vanapyra was actually the token good teammate. She even tells them how to reverse Shaggy's werewolf spell. Yeah, I think Vanapyra also does not count as a villain, and she doesn't really seem like a monster because she looks so human. Oh no, not GK. Oh no, not GK. Who's GK? GK stands for Genghis Kong. Oh yeah, you're never gonna see a joke like this in a modern children's movie. Hi ho, dirty work we go. Crunch. He's got like Taz. Alan Oppenheimer was the Mummy and Swamp Thing. Oh, cool, he was. I didn't even recognize him. The scariest monster to ever serve Dracula, and they're Bebop and Rocksteady of the Hunchbacks. Yeah, they are. They're just Bebop and Rocksteady. Me, what? He-Man She-Ra Christmas special. Oh, talking about more roles. Who's GK? GK is Genghis Kong. Oh, he was also Alfred in Public Enemies. I remember watching that. We are the bad guys, but we're not really the bad guys. Based on her name, I'm guessing Vanapyra is a vampire. Yeah, she is. She kind of looks like a cross between Elvira and Morticia Addams. Basically, Dracula's sexy female minion? It's not made clear if Vanapyra is one of his brides, is his daughter, or just a woman who works for Dracula. Yeah, Vanapyra also doesn't really count as a villain. I know everybody loves her because she's Dracula's ditzy, sexy female minion, kind of like the Harley Quinn to his Joker, but I don't really see her as evil or a monster, so it's why I didn't really count her, especially because she ends up helping Shaggy, and she has like kind of a crush on Shaggy. He's not bad looking for a human. Yeah, Dracula and the Hunch Bunch are kind of the primary villains. The Hunch Bunch are pretty funny, but kind of Bebop and Rocksteady-esque. You're gonna put them onto A tier. And Dracula is the Laugh Riot, one of the funniest Scooby villains we've ever seen. Definitely S tier. You can't get away with a joke like that anymore. Well, you can, but they gotta be geared towards somebody the public despises. Surprise, no ghosts, spider persons, aliens, demons, shadow persons, leprechauns, sea creatures, sirens, the invisible man, and probably other car racers. Yeah, I guess they were limited to the Universal classics. Why is a gorilla considered a monster in Scooby-Doo? That's the escaped ape from the Boo Brothers. He was technically an antagonist and mistaken for a ghost ape. Yeah, I can't have GK anymore. We need a Scooby-Doo hottest waifus tier list. We do, Akira, but we all know Daphne will win and Velma. Daphne and Velma are like perfect 10s. I wonder if Sabella and Vampirella are related. I think Vanna is either his wife or his ghoul friend. Like, it is funny. How is Genghis Khan a monster in the literal Scooby-Doo sense of the world? I want me gold! The GK joke would probably never happen in today because people would be outraged, but back then no one cared, because back then we knew how to have fun. Yeah, the GK joke probably wouldn't be something done today, but it was kind of like a pun off of King Kong, and would there really be anyone offended that Genghis Khan is compared to a mindless gorilla? I mean, it's Genghis Khan, who cares? It's like getting offended over a Hitler joke about how much he sucks. Or is GK meant to be a ghost? No, GK is basically King Kong, but an Asian gorilla. He like dresses like Genghis Kong, the evil conqueror. Boo. Pat Music is Vanapyra. Oh, she came back. Okay. If the GK joke would happen today, it would be Trump or someone they hate. Yeah, probably Trump or Charlie Kirk, since they're so hated. I don't really find a problem with them. But anyways, yeah, Dracula S tier. Hunch Bunch, pretty hilarious duo, gone on to A tier. But we have one more. Who's the final villain? Scrappy-Doo. Yep, here he is. Live action Scrappy-Doo, voiced by Scott Innes. Yes, the Scott Innes who dubbed Shaggy and Scooby from the core 4 Scooby movies. We have evil Scrappy-Doo, and of course he's going on to S tier. Yep, I added him for you fans at home. So, this is Scrappy-Doo in his monster form, because Scrappy-Doo is the twist villain of James Gunn's Scooby-Doo. Yes, really, this was a thing. James Gunn and the other guy, trying to remember his name, I can't remember now, but yeah, basically James Gunn and this other guy made a live-action Scooby-Doo movie, and after a fun and kooky mystery, it turns out Scrappy-Doo was the evil mastermind. Does it really count to add live-action Scrappy to this tier list? Well, I'm going to anyway, because why not? Scrappy-Doo is the main villain of the first Scooby-Doo live-action movie. It is a complete joke and a jab at Scrappy-Doo's unpopularity and hatedom. And honestly, the first time I saw this, I didn't like it because I grew up with VHS tapes of the Scrappy trilogy, and I love Scrappy there. I was shocked, like, why is he evil? Why is he trying to kill his Uncle Scooby? Well, this movie decided to take the joke of how Scrappy was so unpopular and disliked and make him an evil bastard trying to ruin Scooby-Doo and Mystery Incorporated. Scrappy-Doo is wearing a disguise. He's actually Mr. Mondavarius, or whatever his name is, Mr. Bean. He invites the Scooby Gang over to Spooky Island to help solve a mystery, but it turns out this is all a great, overly complex trap to lure Mystery Incorporated and Scooby-Doo to his little end-of-the-world party. Scrappy mastermind this insane scheme to take over the world with his army of demons from hell, gaining ultimate power, and he turns into this hideous Resident Evil monster to complete his revenge against Scooby-Doo. Don't you mean Relvin Doo? Yeah, Scrappy turns into this giant hulking monster, Scrappy, and tries to kill Mystery Incorporated. He needs Scooby-Doo's soul to complete a ritual that will give him the powers of hell, and he'll take over the world. It is so insane, but so funny. Geez, Scrappy, no need to be a jerk and try to destroy humanity. Oh, get over it. So I'm just a little cranky. Seize them! Yeah, I am counting it just for fun. Scrappy-Doo in live action, he sounds like Pumbaa. Scooby-Doo, where are you? So Scrappy-Doo is evil Mr. Bean. Why was this movie's final script greenlit? Yeah, it turns out Mr. Mondavarius is set up as the villain, and we find out he's actually a robot replacing the real guy, controlled by Scrappy-Doo. Scrappy is piloting Mr. Bean like he was Krang or something. He like pops out of him. Da-da-da-da-da-da! Puppy power! Scott Ines plays Scrappy-Doo, and to his credit, he does a pretty good job. Scott Ines played him on the Scooby-Doo project, which I reviewed, by the way, and he does a pretty spot-on Scrappy voice, I will say. He plays evil Scrappy. He wants to kill Mystery Incorporated, turns into like a video game boss and tries to kill them. But of course, the Scooby Gang finally work together, united to save the day. It's kind of been the entire plot of the first film, but the Scooby Gang broke up only to reunite last minute to save the day, realizing their friends were still important to them. Daphne goes Buffy on the evil Bane guy and kicks him into the vat of souls. All the souls go flying, and Shaggy is the hero who saves Scooby. He uses the claw machine to rip it out of him. This ain't over! Not by a long shot! I'll rock you and sock you and crush you like... Huh? Like, dude, what? You're a bad puppy! No! Like, goes Mortal Kombat on him and rips the Damon-Ritis out of him, and Scrappy loses his Resident Evil powers, turning back into Tiny Scrap. Come on, I can still take ya, put him up, and Scooby bitch slaps Scrappy as basically what the fans wanted to do to him for years. Ow, is that all you got? Scrappy-Doo, I would have gotten away with it too, if not for your meddling sons of... And they shut the door on him. Yeah, Scrappy was gonna say a bad word. Yeah, that is pretty funny. Like, why did the cult do this? It's so weird. Yeah, well, Scrappy was like summoning demons from hell, and the demons were possessing the people he brought to the island. They formed his cult because he was their savior and was gonna become their godlike leader if he succeeded. Sit, Grandma, bad Grandma, don't eat the kitty. Funny stuff. As it is the year of this movie, it's 2003. I thought it was 2002. Yeah, it came out like briefly before TMNT did that twist with Shredder Krang. I like that Daphne was able to fight part, but this feels like a cheesy video game. Kinda did. If you don't know, Sarah Michelle Gellar played Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and it was a total tribute to that because Daphne pulls out these badass Slayer moves out of nowhere. It was because the actress also plays Buffy. And he pees on Daphne. Scrappy, how many times do I have to tell you? No more urinating on Daphne. It was an accident. You were marking your territory. Really funny lines. I use that clip. Who did evil Scrappy better, Scooby-Doo in 2002 or Mindy Kaling's Velma? I would definitely say Mindy Kaling's Velma because he killed off the worst character. Scrappy did save the show, but I can't see why people don't like him. Well, if you weren't here earlier, people found him annoying, he hogged so much spotlight, and eventually, the show pretty much revolved around him. It stopped being around Scooby-Doo, it became essentially the Scrappy Show co-starring Scooby, to kicking Scooby to the curb to replace him with his southern cousin Yabba-Doo. Alright. Yeah, I think they did it better. Alright. Yeah, so Evil Scrappy being the twist villain was the funniest thing. They take him down in a pretty satisfying over-the-top boss fight, and Scrappy-Doo also cusses in the movie. Definitely iconic. Yeah, Evil Scrappy, definitely S tier. I know we're kind of cheating with this, but what can I say? It's just so insane, and such a weird twist that I really love it. But yeah, we did it! We completed the Scrappy era villains, at least the main villains, ranked them all the big, the small, and the weird thug villains. Yeah, honestly got a lot more good villains than bad. I'm kind of surprised by that, and this is supposed to be the worst era of Scooby-Doo. Definitely did not slouch in the monsters, at least until they changed the show's format. But we'll go over it one last time for any of you late birds, or for those of you who skip click to the end to see the ranking in full. Oh, I missed the whole stream. Not too much, Wolf Lover. We'll go over it one last time. Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Have you heard the theory that Daphne's character is inspired by Nancy Drew, or she herself inspired the character Nancy Drew? I did not hear that theory. Honestly, I don't really see it that much, especially because Daphne looks a lot older. Alright, so let's go over it one last time. At rock bottom bad is the evil thugs from the Scooby and Scrappy show. Yeah, these guys feel so out of place, both of them. Shaggy and Scooby get abducted by mafiosos. That is just plain bizarre. Easy F tier, and they marked the downward spiral of this entire show. Next is the Octopus. The Octopus was a filler villain who got beaten up by Scrappy. Enough said. Then we have the Devil Bear. He is just a regular bear, going on F tier. And we have the Clown, the lesser disguise of the Snake Demon. Yeah, he looks pretty goofy, and we went from this to this in the same episode. Yeah, the Clown disguise sucks, and no, the Snake Demon's head popping out of him did not make me like him more. These are the top 5 worst Scrappy-era villains. Next in D tier, we have the Demon in the Dugout, the evil Japanese dragon. Not a fan of this design. This design alone really killed all intimidation. Not really that fun or threatening as a villain. Definitely a dud. Then in C tier, appropriately, the Sea Monster. So the Sea Monster's fine. He will be outclassed by future generations of ocean villains, but I thought he was alright. Not my favorite villain, but not all that impressive. Going on to C. People say this is the worst era, yet only 5 and 2 are boring gangsters and 1 whipped octopus and 1 downgraded clown. Yep, it is done. My Scooby-Doo theory is that Scooby-Doo and Batman take place in the same universe. Oh, Wild Wolf Lover, everybody believes that. Scooby-Doo meets Batman in one of the future episodes, and he meets both Adam West and Kevin Conroy. We all know DC and Scooby share a world. Up next in B tier, at low B, Grim Creeper. Yeah, goofy comedic villain. He's funny, but he also gets easily beaten by everyone. Definitely a dud. Then, the Night Ghoul of London. Alright villain, he's passable. The Alien, pretty cool size villain, but not all that interesting, and it's so obvious who it is. Going on B tier. The Vampire of San Francisco, or the Vampire of the Bay, whichever you prefer. I like that they tried to frame Daphne for their crimes, but ultimately, we've seen much better vampires. Going on B tier. And the Ghost Dumbledore, the evil ghost wizard. I love magic episodes. He was pretty fun, but he also gets comedically beaten too often. Going on to B tier. Then, in A tier, who are our awesome villains? The Minotaur. Yep, definitely cool, fun, and threatening. I do like him as a shout out to Greek mythology. The Sky Skeleton. Really cool villain with a cool arsenal of weaponry. Definitely a fun antagonist. Billy Bob. It is so funny that Scooby-Doo has a gun-toting redneck who wants to shoot Scooby and Shaggy. That is why I love him so much. The ghost of Jeremiah Pratt. Yep, we finally have a ghost who's a dead guy who died horribly, and he was definitely threatening. Pretty awesome villain, awesome voice, awesome look. The Hunch Bunch. Yep, these guys are just plain funny. They are just as entertaining as their master Dracula. Really like them. Love Frank Welker and Rob Paulson together. They are a fun duo. Then, Revolta. Okay, Ghoul School is an awesome movie. The villain, I think, is decent. She is threatening, has a lot of fun charisma to her, is actually very deadly because she wants to brainwash monster girls. Ultimately, though, I do think she's kind of overshadowed by much more iconic foes in the Scooby saga. Definitely fun Scooby-Doo Rita Repulsa. I'll put her on top of A tier, though. Part of me would also like to see Scooby-Doo meet the Beetlejuice cartoon. That would be pretty funny. Hey, Kat, I have a quick question. What's your favorite pasta? I like spaghetti. So, next Scooby-Doo tier list, I will be doing the new Scooby-Doo movies. Those are the first crossover episodes. The ones where Scooby-Doo meets Batman and Robin, the Three Stooges, Dick Van Dyke, Jonathan Winters, and Don Knotts, everybody's favorite guest star. That's definitely going to be next on the chopping block. See your octopus emoji. Like, it's weird. Why is Vanapyra ginger? Nothing against ginger people. They have cool hair. And Billy Bob's sisters wanted to date Shaggy. Yep, pretty funny stuff. Why is the vampire wearing purple? To trick you into thinking this is Daphne. They try to trick you that Daphne became a vampire, but she's really framing her. Alright. Top tier, who is in S tier? We have the Shadow Creature, who is basically Satan, and that is just plain awesome. Satan was in Scooby-Doo. The Star Creature. This thing's design is so cool and alien, I really love it. Just the look of him is really creepy and otherworldly. Definitely one of the most standout monsters here. Then, the Masked Mutant, the Blue Scarab. Yeah, Scooby-Doo fights an evil superhero ghost. Definitely an entertaining mystery and a really cool villain. I like the Scooby Gang combating a guy who's basically an evil Batman. Definitely iconic. The Skull Ghost. Yeah, definitely one of the funnest monsters. I love the Boo Brothers. If you couldn't tell, all of the Boo Brothers villains made it up so high. Skull Ghost definitely iconic, but my favorite scene is where he pulls out a gun on the Scooby Gang. I used that pick because I just had to. Definitely one of the more threatening antagonists. The Ghost Ape. Yeah, the escaped ape is just so funny. That's really all I got. He's so funny, has a really nice art design, and some really hilarious moments in the movie. I really appreciate him. The Ghost Ape, definitely S tier for me. The Neon Phantom. This guy really stood out. I love the Psycho Electro Ghost the Scooby Gang fights, and he did not disappoint. Definitely an electrifying one. Evil Scrappy-Doo. Yeah, we went over this, but it's so crazy that Scrappy-Doo was the villain of a Scooby movie. Yeah, that movie, I have a soft spot for it. I don't care what anyone says, especially Nostalgia Critic. It is dumb fun. But yes, Evil Scrappy-Doo, of course he's up here. He's the best villain who ruined Scooby-Doo. Dracula from Reluctant Werewolf. Yeah, was there really any doubt? He's funny, he's goofy, he's over the top. Kind of feels like a Power Ranger villain in Scooby-Doo. Has his threatening moments and does have the bite to back up his bark, but what can I say? He's really engaging as an antagonist. Though, does Dracula remember Shaggy and Scooby saved his daughter? Yeah, I'll put him on to S tier. He wins third place. Winner for the show's villains, the Snake Demon. It's really cool. This guy looks like one of the Snake Men from He-Man. Really nice design, really creepy, raspy voice, really threatening moments. This is definitely one of the best villains of the Scrappy show. I love him. He wins second place. But number one goes to Colonel Beauregard, who was a real ghost actively trying to kill his nephew and his dogs. Yeah, this one, definitely my favorite of the pack. He is really creepy. He has his funny moments, has that iconic Cobra Commander voice, and the fact that he turns out to be real honestly makes rewatching the movie a whole lot of fun, because you realize that he was actually a real monster who was haunting his own castle. Yeah, and he also bested the Boo Brothers, so major points for that. He is my number one Scooby and Scrappy era villain. And that completes our tier list. Yeah, trying to squeeze it all if you can't see the ranking in full. We honestly had a lot of good villains on this era. What do you mean raspy? Sounds very like, if you don't know, raspy sounds like very light, very high pitch. Like, it sounds like this: leave this place, leave this place. Kind of like that. Rainbow Dash. What do you mean raspy? So Scooby-Doo movies is so bad it's funny. It kind of is. Shaggy, Shaggy. What kind of a name is Shaggy? Was the Star Creature the hardest to draw and animate at the time? I figured it might have been, because there's like a filler sequence where they fight a bear, and I presume it was just to have a chase scene without drawing the monster. Revolta is just so... Oh, Revolta was removed from OKKO. Oh, that's a waste. Well, then I'm sticking to my theory that she died. So Scooby-Doo and Guess Who before Guess Who. Yeah, we're talking about the first crossover movies, the old ones from the 70s, where they meet the Addams Family, they meet Adam West Batman, the Three Stooges, Laurel and Hardy, Don Knotts, Phyllis Diller, the old crossover shows. Yeah, we're gonna be talking about those next time for a Scooby-Doo tier list. And I know I still gotta rank Scooby-Doo and his variants and interpretations over the years. It's just taking me some time, guys, okay? I'm making actual videos. Also, why Goosebumps copy be like the Mass Mutant? I assume that's what inspired R.L. Stine. Why would he kill his nephew? Well, because some people argue he doesn't recognize that Shaggy's his nephew. That's why he's haunting them. He calls them trespassers, hinting that he doesn't even recognize Shaggy now that he's grown up. So next tier list, you should do like Power Rangers or Marvel tier list. I'm thinking about doing another Marvel tier list. I just gotta watch a few things. Yeah, sorry guys, but these tier lists do take time because I do have to watch the properties in order to judge some of them. Judge the characters, the episodes, or even the movies itself. I'm planning another Scooby tier list. We're gonna do the new Scooby-Doo movies, the crossover ones, eventually. I'm just finishing a few episodes. I know, Kira, you really want to see the crossover with Genie, which I do love too. I might also be ranking the Thor movies. That's our next Marvel tier list. We're gonna talk about the son of Odin and his filmography. Fun fact, my favorite G.I. Joe character is Snake Eyes. Well, he's everyone's Bat Kid, and he is pretty awesome. I too gotta leave. Goodbye. Bye, Joseph. Scooby-Doo meets Johnny Bravo. Yeah, Bravo, Dooby-Doo. I might actually count that in the crossovers then. But yeah, here's all our Scrappy era villains. Number 1 is the ghost of Colonel Beauregard, my favorite villain. And dead last is, take your pick, both the thugs from the kidnapping episode. It's just so far off from Scooby-Doo. Next tier list might do Scooby-Doo meets all the guest stars, the first one. We're not doing Scooby-Doo and Guess Who just yet, but I have seen the first one. I'm still binging through episodes, and might do a Thor movies tier list. I am watching a few of the Thor films I missed, namely those animated ones, and the sequels I swore I would avoid. But yeah, Thor might be our next Marvel tier list. Those are the teases you're getting for tier lists. For videos, I do have a Twilight Zone up on Patreon, so go check that out. Might be working on another Dark Side, but we'll see how things pan out. If you're still having trouble with the Disney movie tier list, you could start with the first 5 movies of the Golden Age. Yeah, I was thinking that too, Blue Thunder, dividing them up to the Golden Age, the post-Disney era, the Renaissance era, the 2000s era, then the second Disney Renaissance. And also, the Pixar movies might have to have their own tier list. Okay, well, you're welcome, Akira. So yeah, I got a Twilight Zone review. It's out on Patreon. Go check it out before it's public. Or stand by and wait for it. It's a pretty crazy one. Might be doing a Dark Side review next, but we're going to see how things pan out. But for tier list, yeah, I'm definitely going to do Thor and the Scooby-Doo movies. The ones with the first crossovers. But yeah, thank you all for joining us. I'm glad you like these tier lists. We had a lot of fun here, a lot of positives to talk about, namely how a lot of iconic villains that were actually good were in the Scrappy era. Got a lot of monsters I did like, namely a lot of the movie ones. But yeah, that pretty much concludes it. The Scrappy era ended on kind of a whimper, but I will say they definitely had some damn good antagonists. Ruby, Ruby, Roo! Bye, Firewolf. Like, it's funny. Like, it's cool. Okay. So, thank you all for joining us. I'm glad you stood by me all this time, so I'll reward you by setting you guys free. Until next time, Wolfpack. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, or just tune in for more videos posted here on Wolf Entertainment. I'm your host, Catastrophe, and I'll see you all next time. Ruby Dooby Doo!